What do you think the Muppets would have to say about this current state of affairs?
Wocka Wocka?
Waka waka. Greetings and felicitations, assorted children of the internet. I'm the Logician, joined this time once again by MLoreley.
This time once and forever no more.
That's probably going to prove more true than either of us can either predict. Anyway, since people seem to enjoy the last time she was on, and we broke down and discussed the thematic intricacies of one of Jim Henson's lesser-known forays into art and media critique, the Jim Henson Hour, I figured we would bring this back in a segment I like to call Time Capsule Television.
Honestly, not a bad name for it. And I mean, here's the thing. We had fun. We did 4 hours at a time, and it did look like there were a couple of you out there that actually enjoyed hearing us ramble on for about 4 hours at a time. So
God, was it really 4 hours?
It was 4 hours, and it was like we got to the 4-hour point, and we're like, damn, has it been 4 hours? So
I'm really out of practice when it comes to media critique. I should do something about that. And this is one of those things.
Yeah. Maybe I should too.
Mayhaps.
Maybe. I should do things. Like, actually do things for a change.
Shouldn't we all? Anyway, something you may notice every now and then when I pause the episode that we're about to be watching, much in the same way that a famous anime featuring an infamous 8 episodes was aired not exactly in the chronological order. What we are about to watch is technically the second episode of the Jim Henson Hour. However, it was aired as episode 9. I think the playlist I found, which is, I'm not even going to beat around the bush. It's easily accessible to everyone who wants to watch this. You know, you'll know where to find it when you find it. It was predominantly put in the order of when it was aired rather than the order of when it was produced. Or is it the other way around? Either way, I believe this was the second episode produced. There we go. I got there in the end.
Yeah! Congratulations! You learned how to speak good.
Listen, in my defense, time-space has been somewhat of a less than consistent aspect of my life for many, many years now. I've lost all sense of time and its natural progression.
Excuses.
You know what? I'm a VTuber. I should be used to all this needlessly complicated bullshit. Anyway.
Shenaniganery is the correct word.
Is that what the kids are calling it now?
No, it's what I'm calling it because it's not a real word.
Sounds like a flavor of LaCroix. I'm not gonna lie.
A favor of LaCroix. What is it?
I'm already tired being with you.
Wow.
I am already emotionally and psychologically exhausted. Meaning it's just like the old days, such as they are.
The old days? What are you talking about?
Complete with the gaslighting. You really are, Lorelei. Anyway. Why don't we hop into our magic school bus of media literacy and see what pops up today, Miss Frizzle.
Oh, I was going to say, am I one of the students or am I Miss Frizzle? Although you as Miss Frizzle.
You're the bus.
Wow, you calling me fat?
Listen, take what you will.
I will and am. And I'm choosing to take it that you didn't mean anything by it.
Yes, of course.
Else I would have to kill you. It's an obligation, of course.
Wouldn't be the first time. Anyway, this is the Ocean/Lighthouse Island episode. Let's see what Jimmy Boy and his motley crew of velvet and felt have to say about this particular theme.
Oh, Kermit, can I borrow this for my round things party?
Finn, where did you get that?
On the roof. But don't worry, I disconnected all the wires. Something wrong?
Oh, I mean, Well, I tell you what. Why don't I just take Mr. Satellite Dish back up to the roof, and you can, you can help Digit start the show.
Okay. Digit?
Yes, Kermit. Where's Kermit?
Well, he said I could help you start the show.
First of all, this is going to be hilarious to watch back because of the slight discrepancies in our watching experience, because I'm getting minor loops in some of the footage. Which, in all fairness, just makes it more of a surefire thing that we won't get copyright struck with this.
I mean, it's like self-censoring.
Exactly. Second of all, every time I see this character Digit, who I believe never returned after this particular series, I just see like a character out of Red Dwarf or literally any other aspiring 80s/90s sci-fi series.
You know, that's about right.
Yeah. We have David Bowie at home. David Bowie at home.
We're off to a good start here, of course.
Yeah. No, you know what it is? It's like the giant suit from that one Talking Heads music video. Many a days go by. Funnily enough, I think years later Kermit would actually parody that same music video. Anyway.
Up on
The roof?
Mm-hmm.
It's not safe up there. I'd better tell him to come down.
Oh.
Kermit, come in.
Oh.
Kermit, come in.
I just got that loop you were talking about.
Let's watch the opening.
Yes, let's watch the opening bean.
Let's watch the opening. Opening. Again, an intro meant to just showcase what they could do with puppetry.
Yes, granted, I am somewhat biased of the puppeted griffin on screen, but and again, the most 80s/90s thing ever.
Yeah. Late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, this was made in '89.
So there you go. I was right on the money.
Yep.
Oh, this fucking...
Yes.
Hi there, and welcome to our show.
So, I'm getting a fucking taxidermist ad, by the way, on your screen.
You're fucking joking.
I'm not.
The taxidermist ad over the Jim Henson's lion.
Yes. I am not...
Yes.
I'm not kidding. Well, now I'm getting a military fucking commercial.
Because of fucking
paid
course.
for by the Marines.
Thanks so much for
Also,
joining
you're-
us, Alex. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Also, hi. I mean, okay, we're back.
Yes, so we're watching the Jim Henson Hour once again, and I'm joined by my friend MLoreley.
Friend?
I was going to say, I may have come on too strong there. Acquaintance, partner in crime, one of the few people who can put up with me, or keep up with me.
It's both.
Yes, ¿por qué no los dos?
Well, one of the handful of people. Also,
Yes.
hi, friend, asterisk. That's right, it's friend with an asterisk.
Hello, friend.
Hello, friend. It's like my name is highlighted or something.
Yes, hello.
Casual bongos.
And Lorelei.
Ah, my word.
Or it's like when you get like those old days when you would be like calling collect and it's like, you've got a call from
Yes.
Lorelei.
You have an incoming call from... Ah, my word. Anyway.
Yep. I'm not picturing. Oh my god, I'm actually picturing that in a video of like, you've got an incoming call from, and then there's a pause, and then Logician going, oh my lord.
Because, like, this is one of those technical hiccups I'll have to work out because you still can't hear my soundboard. But the past few times I was going, like, you have an incoming call from Casual Bongos. Like, you have an incoming call from the cat.
The cat.
Well, I mean, we just saw the cat. Let's see more of said cat.
Yes.
Travel land where everyone and everything seems to be magic. The world of Lighthouse Island.
You basically just described any Stephen King book, Jim.
Honestly, as long as it takes place somewhere in Maine or New England in general.
Yeah, a little bit.
Have a cider, Zeb Norman.
Thank you. I am thirsty. I just rode my bicycle all the way from Trolleen.
You
Why?
know?
But first, Muppet Television. Kermit, what's the show about?
Well, there's a lot of fish in it, so I guess it's going to be a kind of a friends and relation show for me.
Great. Give my best to your folks.
Will do, Jim. It's going to be a wonderful show with our great guest star, Ted Danson.
Oh my
Ted
God.
Danson.
Ted Danson.
Oh my God.
We're really showing our
So-
age with this one, aren't we?
That's right. Cheers was a thing.
God.
No one would just say their name. They would say a brief message. You got to collect a call from Mom, pick me up from the Jim's house. I mean, that's the thing. If you do that, it means that they didn't actually have to accept the call.
Exactly.
They would get the message from that, and they could be like, okay, and then not pay for it.
I mean, you basically just have a walkie-talkie without taking a trip to Radio Shack.
God, fuck you about Radio Shack.
I know. I realized the moment I said it, is like people they're gonna have no earthly idea what the fuck I'm talking about. I don't even know if Radio Shack shows up in this timeline now that I think of it.
I mean, as far as I know, it does.
Once again, wibbly wobbly. And we're back to the custodian Kiwi over here.
Lindbergh, hole in the roof yet?
Just about you, Skipper.
Oh, good. Because I want everything ship-shape for our guest star. Ooh.
You know?
Anybody got an umbrella?
Again, you can probably tell that there was a great deal of inspiration with this set and the way I've set up my own homepage.
Lindbergh, hang on and we'll get you out of there.
I found the busted pipe, and they turned off the water.
Oh, good. Oh, hi.
Circuit City, fuck you, Alex.
Circuit City. My God, and what I love is that it's similar to, like, old Pizza Huts or anything like that. You know when something used to be a Circuit City.
Yeah, because I had the
Because
big
of-
fucking red block up front.
Uh-huh. But then, like, they had to repaint it, and then, like, it's like, no, it's a different kind of department store now. Or
Yeah.
it's just an abandoned fucking mall.
It's
Either
like,
way.
I could be mistaken, but I believe it may have since closed down, but I remember there being a point where there was exactly one Blockbuster video store remaining, and it was in Oregon.
I think there is still one Blockbuster open
Yeah,
somewhere.
because I don't remember hearing whether or not it finally closed down, but I know it was the last one.
Something like that. I don't know.
Time capsule in
Hard
and
to
of
say.
itself. It's
I
still
mean,
around?
honestly,
Oh, thank God.
That's cool. And that's the thing. I would rather prefer that we continue to have, what is it called? Analog media.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just anything to show that Netflix hasn't completely won.
Well, not Netflix, but just any streaming site, really.
Oh, yeah, but also because Netflix specifically is what fucked over Blockbuster. Because back when, before they started out as a streaming service and were a video rental service that you could just send your tapes and DVDs in the mail through.
Well, they were both. They were an online streaming option and also a place that you could get DVDs and even games from.
That's right. They were essentially back then what Redbox is now.
Yep.
Is
little bit.
Redbox even still a thing?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. I'm so disconnected. Well, I mean, small wonder when you're thousands of miles beneath the Earth's crust, but, what are you going to do?
You don't say.
Redbox is barely a thing. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it's been slowly phased out, but
it
geez.
really says something when within a span of 5 to 10 years, you can never be entirely certain if an entire medium of media consumption still exists or not.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
technology,
part of that-
domestic technology specifically, is like progressing like so quickly that you can like talk about, an old video and people say, wait, what's Vine? What are you talking about?
See, here's the thing. You're right. And it's because we've had, generally speaking, especially in terms of like media technology and whatnot, it has propelled itself exceptionally fast. Like, it continues accelerating in terms of speed of development. And it's the same thing with all technology, to be quite honest. we can reminisce about how quickly things seem to be changing, because when we were kids, Radio Shack had been around since the 80s at least, if not like 70s or whatnot. I would have to actually check the date on it, but that was that was still a thing into the 2000s. So now we have Redbox, which came around like the 2010s or so, and now we're already like a decade later saying goodbye to it. There is an accelerated thing, and if anyone out there is too young to know what we're talking about, understand that our generation was actually the one that saw the transition from mostly analog media and being able to go outside without getting arrested for it.
Yeah.
To everyone getting online, getting onto, the computer as a primary form of entertainment. This was certainly before cell phones, and so people did not carry a walk-around computer with them.
No, we had car phones as the new hot thing.
Well, we had cell phones, but only the really wealthy people could afford them.
Oh, yeah. And, because, if memory served, car phones, some of them were carried around in, full-on suitcases, and they were about the size of, 2 or 3 bricks. Those are the ones, if I remember correctly, there are a couple different types of car phones, and I apologize for getting stuck on this one aspect specifically, but there was, the type that was essentially built into your car, and then there was the other that it came around in its own, suitcase, and the suitcase was essentially the phone case.
It was the very, very old-school cell phone. The only way to have a portable phone, but it was still based on similar sort of technology,
Yes.
Satellites and whatnot.
I mean,
but
you had to be able to own a satellite in order to afford one back then.
I mean, functionally, I suppose. But that's just it, is when we were kids, going to play out in the streets or at the local park with your friends, or, just go someplace downtown and hang out, was acceptable and not considered suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, seeing a bunch of kids hanging out in the town square or something usually ends up inviting a police presence, and they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
We're hanging out. Well, that's suspicious, and so we're gonna have to, take you in for questioning. And it's just that, for being a fucking kid. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, you are getting a lot of frequency of ads.
That is weird. I tried changing the ad settings, the other day to make it so that they wouldn't be popping up as much.
I have no idea what's going on with that.
Yeah,
and honestly...
I'll give it another, tweaking later on, but, yeah.
Okay, we're back.
All right,
that's the thing that's really obnoxious about it, is, it is so painful. And sorry that we just... Yes, too bad we live in a capitalistic hex space. That's just
to say the very least.
The fact that they rely so much on these video ads as to completely impede any and all enjoyment of media, to keep having it spammed in our faces this often. The whole point of streaming media is that we didn't have to deal with constant fucking ads in our faces.
Yeah.
Which was where, landline TV had been, and that's why the rise of streaming services happened. And then they have now made it so bad that YouTube went on a whole fucking ad blocker and anti-ad blocking campaign to make it impossible to use their service. And they've tried to do all of these little tricks to make it so that you can't use any kind of ad block. Fortunately, some of the people who do, who are behind the making of these ad blocks have found a way to stay ahead of it. But even then, sorry, we went from one rant about technology to another because the ads popped up, at least on my end.
See, that's the funny thing about bringing you into any stream. I don't even need to do anything. I just, say one thing about media, and then all of a sudden we got 2 hours worth of content.
Well, okay. I mean, that's not going to make me feel self-conscious about talking.
Fair enough. I apologize. I was largely being facetious, but, no,
I just have a lot of opinions, but...
Yes. I mean, us opinionated?
But it's infuriating that these people feel so entitled to our free time.
Yes.
I hate the advertising industry. If I could dismantle one thing, well, first I'd start with the way that the current, well, I have a lot of other things on my list, but the way that advertising has invaded every aspect of our life, and that we frequently have to not just opt out of being advertised to, but like repeatedly do so, and also like having to pay for the privilege of not being advertised to. The good faith that used to have been earned, by things being more accessible is absolutely gone now. You can't read newspapers without getting spammed or overwhelmed. Like, I even saw a post recently talking about how if you had shown a screenshot of the way that websites now looked today, we would have said, wow, that looks like you've got some pretty nasty malware in place. But it's just what we expect. It's
Well, I
just
mean,
what we've gotten conditioned to.
well, that is just it. Like, the internet, because once again, as Lorelai pointed out, our generation, millennials, were the ones who essentially saw the rise to power from the intranet of CERN to the internet that connected the world and made it significantly smaller and larger at the same time somehow. And whenever you have any new frontier, human beings will instantly try and find a way to capitalize on it. That's why you have so many lobbyists trying to find ways to regulate the internet. You have so many companies paying the lobbyists so that they can try and get their own, stamp of approval and monetization on every corner of the internet they can get their grubby hands on. And it's a fascinating yet horrifying thing. I mean, this is the type of shit that has inspired so many dystopia-themed books over the years. This is why we have
lately.
Yeah, this is why we have stories like Fahrenheit 451, which is essentially about information control. We have stories like Brave New World, which is about completely giving into consumerism and impulsive instincts. You have The Giver, which is about essentially, by and large, numbing the senses of the populace.
Removing our ability to remember important aspects of our history and giving it only to one person to carry the memories forward, because otherwise you have people recognizing that they are functionally in a system of enslavement.
Yeah, and
But
it's
for the
go
sake of legacy, passing it on from person to person.
Absolutely. And, granted, a big part of what is driving us in our opinions here is a sense of nostalgia, in that, things were so much simpler back when we were younger. And by and large, most times when anyone from any generation says that, that's typically not the case. We were just too young to realize what the fuck was going on. But the other part of it is that with the rapid expansion and development of domestic technology and the way we create and consume and interpret media, things have gotten simultaneously far more complicated and far more
streamlined.
Exactly.
So, God, we're 2 minutes into this episode and we have gone on several different tangents.
It is us.
But here's the thing. Things are simpler, and that's on purpose. Like I said, it's streamlined. They make it easier to just go along with what they're doing than it is to try and, separate yourself out from anything like that they're doing. God, what was I even going to say? In terms of things being simpler when we were kids, like it actually was. There wasn't so much information that was being thrown in your face every day. There was not really a thing like doom scrolling up until the 2010s when social media really started taking off. There was not really nearly so common a problem with getting stuck in a loop of bad news hitting you, and so often, and then also immediately running into opinions from people that you don't know who may not have your best interests in mind. On the one hand, we are exposed to more social groups than we ever have before, and that can actually foster, for example, people who previously did not have easy access to communities that they were a part of as a result.
Mm-hmm.
But simultaneously, it has also led to outrage media. And in terms of fandom, remember when you liked a video game and then for like people still talked about it decades later versus now a video game or like a TV show. And as soon as it ends, no one talks about it anymore. And they're like, oh man, I miss it. And it's like, well, then watch it again and talk about it with other people.
Well, a big chunk of that is because, like, the circles in which we could discuss these things were so limited. Like, the scope of the world and what we could, like, express about the things we're passionate about were so enclosed in our respective communities. Like, bring up the specific example of video games and movies and TV shows and stuff. The only people we had to talk to about those things were the other kids on the playground, were, like, the kids in church or other social gatherings or wherever the fuck. And with the advent of the internet and easy access to everyone everywhere all at once, like, we get sensory overload when it comes to a lot of these discussions. And even if we are vehemently passionate about the things that we consume, and I hate to put it that way, but let's be honest, that is the state of current media, like, we get so worn out so much faster because there's so many other people who are so loud with their opinions.
Well, and I agree with that. I disagree, at least on the point of, I don't think that's the only reason. I think that might be part of it, and we become exhausted trying to, like, defend our position in terms of what we get out of any kind of media. But I think it's also that it's because we have platforms that just don't run reruns. You know, that as soon as the show is done releasing, they just don't promote it and will sometimes even actively take it off those platforms.
Because it's considered a consumable product at this point.
And they try to throw more things at you so that you constantly try to keep up with the new trend. We have a whole generation of people who have been raised on the idea that once the thing is done, you know, it's old, it's cringe, it's done, you know, like that you don't need to even talk or think about it anymore. And this is going to sound very much like the things were better in my day, but I really do think that we have seen such a decline in overall quality in most things that make it out there. I'm not saying entirely.
I was going to say, like, it depends on what's being made and who's making it.
Over the course of this conversation, I have gotten 3 ad breaks.
Yeah. that absolutely true. Well, again, given that we've been talking for, let's see, nearly 40 minutes now, and we're 2.5 minutes into the actual show, that definitely tracks.
30 minutes. Because you remember, you have the 10 minutes.
That's true. But I digress.
Regardless, I agree. This was an interesting tangent, but maybe we should go back to the thing that we technically came here for. Otherwise, this is going to be a 5 or 6 hour stream.
I was going to say, because once again, as I mentioned in, like, the previous reaction stream, if you ever want to get a good sense of what is, you know, like, what societal pulse the finger of comedy and parody is on, look no further than the Muppets. The Muppets are almost always on top. They're like Weird Al in that sense, where, like, they've been around for longer than anyone can sensibly remember, and yet they always seem to be plugged into what's happening and why we should be laughing at it.
True.
So.
And I remember this all came about because their special guest was Ted fucking Danson. Ah, my word. Also, watch The Good Place if you haven't.
Please fucking watch The Good Place. And yet again, that just brings me to another... Yes, The Good Place. We've all seen it.
God.
I hate how apt that meme is in the context of this discussion.
It's like, yes, the Good
Yes, the
Place.
time knife. We've all seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. Anyway, one moment.
And, why, you thirsty boy?
I mean, always. Or you ASMR fans out there. Anyway.
That's...
Kermit seems hopping mad, waiting to put in his 2 cents, so...
Terrific show lined up for you with a heap of very special guest star, Mr. Ted Danson.
Oh, thank you, Kermit.
I'm sorry I have to pause again immediately, but that fucking shirt.
Just kind of takes care of itself.
Boy, it's wonderful
how
calm and collected you are.
Like, it would not pause for me for a hot second there.
Huh.
My word. Even down to the brick background and the the shirt with a color scheme fresh off of one of those paper cups you find at the water cooler.
Damn.
With the blue and the magenta, the cyan and magenta scheme.
Oh, that was not just exclusive to those cups, but yeah.
True, but like that's instantly what comes to mind for me.
Excuse me.
You're excused.
Fish special guest star, Mr. Ted Danson.
Oh, thank you, Kermit. Is there any way I can help?
Well, gee, thanks, Ted, but the show usually just kind of...
Yeah.
What's that hole doing down there?
well, the floor just kind of gave way there, but...
And you're not even worried. Boy, I tell you, this frog, unflappable. Carry.
well, thanks.
It's like a YouTube... Oh my god, Kermit. Kermit, please.
That's very unflappable. Flappable.
Flappable.
Let's try this again.
Let's green egg and ham it.
Leaky and folk dance troupe. Check. Hey guys, watch out for there's a hole over here. You should don't listen to.
Jesus.
Is this a problem?
Oh no problem. Hey Digit, cancel the folk dance and cue the fish.
You know? And this even goes back to what we were discussing earlier about, like, comparisons being drawn between past and present media. I saw this bit with the yodelers falling into the hole in the ground, and all I could think of was the whole bit from Tom Ska.
And I don't even know what you're talking about.
I might pull that up later, but for the time being...
Please don't.
Boy, didn't even miss a beat. Totally unflappable.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath.
Oh my god.
Long about
You know?
Oh my god.
I am tempted to do what I did last time and just have some royalty-free music play over this.
I think... I don't know.
'Cause,
On the one hand... I mean, if we're watching this entire episode...
That's fair, because, I mean, like, I know the song they're doing a cover of, and it's old enough to where I almost don't have to worry about it. But at the same time...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's,
I will defer to your judgment, sir.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be having a good time. Bustin' makes him feel good from the size of that splash from earlier. Anyway.
Saturday night. Ooh. Rubber dub just relaxing in the tub, thinking everything was alright. And I opened up the door and then, ooh, opened up the door and then, ooh, he forgot about his bath. Well, how was I to know there was a party going on? There was a splishing and a splashing, moving and a grooving, rocking and a rolling. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know? So let's break this down.
No, let's not. No, don't do that!
First and foremost, I can't be 100% certain, but it feels like a number of puppets here were recycled from the Octopus's Garden in the Shade bit from the Muppets. Specifically the original Muppet Show. And I feel like they were just looking for an excuse to bring some of them back. I could be entirely mistaken. But,
I would not be surprised.
Second
if
of
you
all...
were mistaken, I mean.
Second of all, I think literally the only other time I have seen a Muppet taking a bubble bath was Ernie from Sesame Street.
Rubber Ducky, you're the one.
Rubber Ducky, I'm awfully fond of you. I mean, funnily enough, another orange Muppet. I still... And I know I'm already going off on another tangent, and I apologize. But I even think back, and I'm sure you remember this as well, to to that one instance of Frank Oz responding to so many gay couples, like fan shipping Bert and Ernie, and him coming out and saying like we never intended them, for them to be gay, and then the sort of saga of Frank Oz reading all these stories of gay couples that felt themselves seen in Bert and Ernie, and him finally coming around to like, oh, you know what, like that is completely valid, and I don't want to take that away from you.
Even just like that wasn't necessarily how we originally envisioned it, but if that's something that means something to you, then that's also perfectly valid.
Yeah, it reminds me of that one time when Mark Hamill was speaking on a panel at a convention, and he's like, to anyone who's ever thought Luke is gay, of course he's gay if that's how you feel about him.
Exactly.
Like, sort of like...
Media...
Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry, too, but media is not about getting the correct interpretation. Media is about finding maybe some strings of commonality and what kind of message you can probably piece together from what's being told. But any art is about the experience that you have as the audience, as the person perceiving the art.
Yeah.
So,
because, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I'm sure this will be a bit of a divisive take, but I feel like the moment you put a piece of art out into the world, it no longer purely belongs to the original artist, but also belongs, at least in some small part, to each individual person who has seen and interpreted and felt for that art. Like, every person who connected with a character from a movie, every person who found themselves contemplating and waxing philosophical after looking at a specific painting. Like, granted that particular take, when interpreted to the letter, has unfortunate implications when it comes to, like, rights ownership and things like that, but even just on the level of what does this art mean?
And it's interesting because a couple of things come to mind as you say that. That media, if you resonate with a character, that includes the villains, that includes the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing, for the longest time, especially in older media, all villains were queer-coded, and that was intentional.
Yes.
So a lot of queer people saw themselves in the villains and then sort of ended up creating I can't imagine, sarcastically, why this person might be a little upset with the status quo, the way that they're coded, the fact that this person has eyeliner for days, etc.
Yeah.
But
though sometimes it goes both ways, where the villains and heroes are queer-coded. Ever watch any classic episode of He-Man?
Well, when everyone's gay.
I was going to say.
That the other thing that I was even going to say, and give me a sec because I got derailed from that.
Boy.
Oh, right. I'm going to choke. Hang on.
I mean.
Actually, I have to run AFK. I'm sorry.
No, you're valid. But, yeah. Like, even just to sort of pop off on my own, like, I mean, not to say, oh, it's my stream, I get to pop off, but, like, when it comes to the queer community specifically in media, as Lore said, a lot of them have been vilified over the years in many forms, and I feel like, as unintentional or intentional as it may have been, that has resulted in just a whole aesthetic developing from how society at large has interpreted quote-unquote outcasts among society, such as those within the queer community, or people of color, or various ways through which media has portrayed or vilified all these different groups of people over the years. And it has sort of culminated in, to put it quite simply, an aesthetic with, like, the likes of, and obviously I cannot pretend, I want to put a big massive disclaimer here, I do not pretend to be an expert on the various sub-communities or or cultural influences on fashion and expression within the various queer communities out there. I have only relatively recently come into my own as being more aware of how very much on the spectrum of queer I am in, personally speaking. So again, take anything I have to say in this particular rant with a heavy grain of salt. That being said, it is fascinating to see how portrayals of people within the queer community or any downtrodden group of people in media has changed, and with them, the methods through which we see villains portrayed as a whole in media. How, as we have come to understand more about the people who have been largely vilified in media, we have become, at least when it comes to people who are trying to branch out and be more understanding, more sympathetic villainous characters, or at least antagonistic characters. Characters who, while not perfectly aligning with the goals or opinions of the protagonists, you can understand them a lot more because a lot more thought is put into where that division came from. What has resulted in this schism between potentially two halves of the same coin, as it were, as far as the characters and their respective alignments go. And as more and more people from newer and newer generations are getting a chance to tell their stories, we're seeing more and more opportunities for just far more creative writing and far more fascinating villains and antagonists, because we actually get to see their rise to that point, their rise and their fall, and sometimes it ends well with them coming around, sometimes it ends tragically with them not having any way back, but we still feel more for them in the process, because we're making them more and more human. Granted, I realize that's a somewhat ironic take to land on, given what's currently on screen. But I digress. Ah, my word. And even outside of the context of villains, just representation of the queer community in media has seen vast improvements, and granted, there is still a lot of work to be done in being seen and, well, to put it frankly, normalized in media. But I like that there are still more and more series being put out there that are making those strides. I think specifically of the likes of the reboot of She-Ra, for example. I never really paid attention to She-Ra or He-Man growing up. It was just not exactly in my wheelhouse of interests, I suppose. Aesthetically, they did not appeal to me. I was more of a Ninja Turtles kind of kid. But seeing the reboot of She-Ra and how it handled representation of people within the queer community and how it was handled was fascinating, and I would almost argue, not quite revolutionary, but like impactful in that it didn't put it under a spotlight. It didn't put the fact that there were queer characters in this series under a microscope to further examine it. It was simply put out into the world of the story as just a natural aspect of that story and not elaborated upon, because it doesn't need to be. It's a natural aspect of this character. It doesn't define them as a person. It's just part of who they are. Welcome
I'm
back.
back. I'm so sorry about
You're
that.
fine. You're fine.
I did warn you ahead of time, although
Oh,
the
yes.
audience wasn't warned. So I'm sorry, what did I come back to you talking about?
Basically coming back to the normalization of people within the queer community in media. And I was drawing comparisons to, or drawing as an example, the, queer representation in the She-Ra reboot. And
yes.
how it sort of normalizes it, and has some of the best representation of, animated series from that era simply by not highlighting it. The fact that, oh, this character has two dads, or, oh, these people, they're two, female presenting people and they're just married, and nothing else is said about it. It's just a fact. That is what we need more of in media.
Interestingly enough, the example that I was thinking of before the incident was things that weren't necessarily intended a certain way, but like with the new context definitely fits into that sort of thing. I think of Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, God, yes.
Specifically, the portrayal of Batman / Bruce Wayne, especially by Kevin Conroy, and especially when he went to talk about his experience and what he drew from when playing the role. Now, under normal circumstances, Batman is not inherently a queer character. But he is certain that, he is a character that a lot of us will empathize. Anyone who's ever been an outcast, anyone who's ever had to deal with, the darker side of humanity, and just the way that the world is, we respond to Batman, and the animated series was done in such a way as to feel seen and not necessarily judged, and more often than not, the main character, the titular character, being that compassion born from having also been in the darkness. But the added context that where Kevin Conroy drew some of his performance from was pretending to be a straight man in a world that hated him for being queer. And that duality between Batman and Bruce Wayne in terms of, Bruce Wayne being the, popular everyman that everyone liked, and more or less anyway, but having that persona that he put on versus who he was on the inside as Batman.
I mean, what was the Batcave if not one big closet?
Well, anyway, I'm not disputing that at all. I'm just saying that knowing now what was contributing to, Conroy's performance was a little bit of that identity coming in. It does recontextualize a lot about, Batman in the animated series.
Yeah.
And
I mean, maybe even down to the fact that he could never make a relationship with a woman work.
Well, that can be any number of reasons.
I'm largely joking, but,
Let's be real, that man had to be bi. Anyway.
Oh, no, abso-fucking-lutely.
He did not have straight relationships with just about anyone. But, I mean, what that even ties back into, in terms of what we were discussing into that tangent, if you had come away, even before that announcement had come out, or that story had been shared, and, you found you related to Batman as a queer person, that would have been a valid interpretation, regardless of how the writers maybe even intended it, because Conroy himself, played it a certain way, and there's no way that kind of thing didn't mean something, to a queer kid somewhere along the lines. And so that is true for any and all inspiration, regardless of whether or not there's any truth to it. If you feel something as a result of something that you experience, TV show, movie, whatever it is, that is your experience.
Yeah, especially if that piece of media helps you discover something about yourself.
I mean, how many times have we heard people talk about this awakened something in me?
Exactly.
So, anyway, so this not Bert and Ernie.
I was going to say, anyway, this dark and gritty discussion about representation of the queer community in media and the inspirations behind Kevin Conroy's portrayal of the Dark Knight, brought to you by the seahorse on the saxophone.
Right.
Back to it.
Gang, dancing on my living room rug. Yeah! Flip-flop, we was doing the bops. All the teens having dancing fun. There was a lollipop with a
Also, let's be real. This is absolutely like a queer party. Let's
yes.
not beat around the
look at-
coral here.
Look at all them clams.
Exactly.
And you know that someone on the set made that joke, by the way.
Oh yeah, abso-fucking-lutely.
Also, very rude of people to just show up at this guy's house while he was taking a bath
I think
You
that
know?
went
and throw a
swimmingly.
fucking party.
Absolutely. I mean,
Like, my dudes, at least wait until I've toweled off.
yeah. Like, granted, it depends on what kind of party we're talking about, but, so long as
Well-
everyone's staying hydrated.
I mean, in that situation, you kind of have to be hydrated by default.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
Anyway.
Back to you, Kermit.
Oh, actually, I was talking about the fish number, but...
I'm gonna have to fucking kill
number,
someone.
But,
Yeah.
I'm
gonna have to kill Jim Henson.
But that dance number looked like it was going to be great, except for the ending, of course. How deep is that hole, anyway?
Will you people please keep it down?
What?
Some of us are trying to blast tunnels, you know. Hey, you got people dancing up here or something?
Well, this looks pretty bad.
Actually, it's just a minor problem.
Oh, minor problem, I like it.
Yeah.
Where's
just
Statler and
realized-
Waldorf when you need them?
So, you said that this was in 89?
Correct.
Oh, so he died not long after this show came out.
Correct.
I was just looking it up because I knew that he died.
Yeah.
I was just like, wait, when did he die?
Spoilers?
Oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm spoiling things. Anyway.
Next, you're going to tell me who Rosebud is. Not a single
let's-
person in the chat is going to understand that reference, are they?
I think I'm the only person in the audience right now.
Jesus fucking
Unfortunately.
Christ.
Yeah, it's... I mean,
Again, I hate to delve into kids these days territory, but God, you know what? I'll even say it while I'm on my soapbox here. Citizen Kane, overrated. Like it's an okay movie. It's not the bee's knees that everyone makes it out to be.
personal opinion, of course.
Personal opinion, of course, because I learned the hard way long ago that there is no such thing as an objective take on media. Now, if only more people would realize this.
Yeah. But I mean, here's the thing. There were actually a lot of things that they did in that movie that are incredible, like, cinematographer-wise,
Oh, yeah.
the script writing. And again, you have to keep in mind the period that it came out in. You know, like, nowadays, as another example, another tangent, we're 5 minutes into this episode and we've had 3 fucking tangents.
Yep.
3, quote-unquote, 3
I
tangents.
was going to say
But-
3, quote-unquote.
And this is going to be spoilers for The Sixth Sense, so if you have not seen that movie, you should. It
Yeah.
is a good movie. And also, it's been like 20 years, 20, 30 years, just about. Somewhere between those two numbers. So the spoiler is dated, but it checks out, and it's a major one. But this is the sort of thing. The whole concept of they've been dead all along didn't really come into mainstream popularity until that movie came out. And then everyone started doing it because it was a brilliant twist. So it's like Final Fantasy VII being like having all of the JRPG tropes is like, yeah, because it became so astoundingly popular, like that was how it got introduced to the mainstream. And so all of the tropes that people associate with JRPGs come from that game becoming popular. That doesn't mean that the thing that did it is bad or any lower quality. It's that they did it first before there had been like an established norm, and that's
Yeah.
why it would stand out in people's minds. Same thing with Citizen Kane. We know the twist, we know the story, we know how it plays out. The important part is not whether or not it is the highest quality, so much as what kind of thing, how would this have rocked the minds of people watching this when it was made?
Oh yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And I've made the same point about well, and again, this is a bit of a leap from Citizen Kane, but the Star Wars franchise, and how a lot of people have criticized well, first of all, you should always criticize Disney, but a lot of people have criticized the newer trilogy for not feeling like Star Wars. Their words, not mine. And it's funny. It's funny how a late 2010s sci-fi series doesn't feel exactly the same as a space fantasy first created in the 70s. Almost as if they weren't made for you.
Well, and a couple of things. Every last one of them was actually a commentary on the socio-political status of the world at the time that they were being made. Any good sci-fi really is, more or less anyway. But the things that they were worried about in the late 70s and early 80s were still the fallout of people who had, they were the kids of the people who had experienced World War II.
Not to mention the Vietnam War at the time.
Yep. The emergence, the fear of a potential reemergence of fascism at that time, in the form of, literally Nazis showing up, was much more prevalent. The social concerns that we had towards the end of the 90s going into the early 2000s, when the second trilogy or the prequel trilogy came out, were more on the rise of evil as opposed to an established empire of evil, because we were seeing politics-wise people who were falling vulnerable to fascist tactics, which is why we have the infamous line, "So this is how democracy dies, with applause."
It was literally a direct comparison to how the United States and other governments were taking advantage of the perceived tragedy of 9/11 and using that to empower themselves.
Well, the first one was in 99, although I think by the second movie that came out, that had become relevant.
Yeah.
But that was the political status at the time that those movies came out. Now, the third trilogy, the one that we got more recently, the first one was good. It was spot on. I liked it.
Yeah.
The rest of them were not written to be cohesive.
That's because they all had different directors.
And they all had different ideas of the kind of social commentary that they wanted to make.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we have continued down that chain of making something because we think it'll be popular, but not actually taking into consideration what message you're actually sending with the thing. Star Wars has become utterly corrupted as a result of that.
Oh, yeah.
They may have cool story elements, but I don't think we're going to go back to what made the movies compelling in the first place.
Yeah, and I apologize for interrupting. I just also wanted to put in a couple my 2 cents as well, because one, to correct myself from earlier, yes, all of the newer Disney trilogy Star Wars movies had different directors, but then again, most of the original trilogy did as well. I think George Lucas only directed 2, if I'm not mistaken, and I think the one he didn't direct was arguably one of the best ones, which was Empire Strikes Back. But, so I will say, to correct myself, just because you don't have a single director on every aspect of a trilogy, does not mean inherently that it's going to be bad or all over the place, but it can lend to that. And that's what happened with the new trilogy. And second of all, I will say, even though I don't like it as much as the first one, I think the second one with Luke returning, I liked a lot about that movie, and I think it had a lot of potential with the quote-unquote disappointing twist that seemed to get a lot of OG Star Wars fans' panties in a twist regarding Rey and her parentage. Because I thought that would have been just honestly fine. I'll avoid the actual spoiler aspect of spoilers therein, but They essentially retconned that in the third movie because, no, that's not fascinating enough. We got to link it to old Star Wars.
There are some decisions. I'll even say one of the reasons why that original trilogy, despite multiple directors still being cohesive, is because you would be surprised how much of a role the editor even has in making a movie look and sound good.
Oh, yes.
Bringing out the best of performances and all of that. And the editor, I believe, was Lucas's wife.
That would explain a lot.
You know what makes the original Star Wars trilogy good? a woman.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't fucking start. Anyway. And then you see that a lot of those elements are not present in the second and definitely not the third trilogy. I have found that, well, and even in terms of whether or not it holds up, if people watching the original trilogy, starting with episode 4, watch it today, they're going to be like, I don't get what the big deal is. This is like the technology looks clunky, the special effects look, completely unrefined. The story is really weak. Like, these are complaints that people would make about it today because they are. The point wasn't whether or not it was a good movie, and certainly not some kind of cinematic masterpiece. The point was whether or not you felt something watching it. And you did. You got that sense of an adventure. You got that sense of real stakes of danger. You picked up, at least consciously or otherwise, on the socio-political commentary that was going on. And it was a well-told story. But and using fantastical elements blended with sci-fi.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Elena James.
Hello.
It's the same thing as like the original Ghostbusters movies,
Oh, yeah.
and people love to elevate those as being like, and especially.
Yes, we are currently streaming on my channel, Elena.
Yes. I'm just visiting, and I'm sorry for there's a whole chain of media commentary going on.
That is literally the point of this stream. So
we are 5 minutes into this reaction that we're doing. We're not really reacting to it so much as using it to springboard into topics we want to talk about. Anyway, this is all of it to say media is all about what it means to you. Sometimes it's about what it means to the creator, but your takeaway, no matter what the original intent could be, is a lot more important for your purposes. It doesn't have to be quote unquote correct. It just has to be yours.
yeah.
So maybe
Anyway, back to the disgruntled frog.
Yeah, back to the disgruntled frog.
Cue Merlin, would you?
Oh, and now it's time for the medieval medic with the mystical mind, Merlin the magician, MD.
Oh, hi, Rolf.
Who is it doth seek
Oh.
the wizard's help this day? This day?
A guy with a fish through his head. Ta-da!
Sit down, sit down.
What?
I've heard of catching fish, but this is ridiculous. Now, how'd this happen?
Well, it started out as a wart on my stomach.
You stay out of this. You. How'd this get here? Answer the question.
Well, what was the question?
Just like I thought. It went in one ear and out the other.
Ta-da!
Thank you.
You'll have to speak up. I've got a herring in my ear.
Then what you need is a herring.
At least it's not a red one.
Why?
Oh, just for the halibut?
Is too authentic.
You know, this feels, and I know this is going to be a weird take, this feels like a Japanese stand-up bit.
It does. It's that same sort of cadence.
Yeah, especially with the, because here's the thing, like, Japanese stand, I forget what the specific term for it is, but Japanese stand-up, unlike stand-up in, like, a lot of Western countries where there's just the single person on stage, generally has two people on stage at the same time, at least in the traditional setup, the straight man and the funny man. And this feels like, and oftentimes I've noticed with that particular type of stand-up, there's a repeat, gag or phrase that'll be thrown at, which I think, by and large, was influenced by a lot of vaudeville acts, or vaudeville-adjacent acts like Abbott and Costello. Mm-hmm. And so this feels like it's definitely borrowing from that. So I feel like this is still a transitionary point for the Muppets, transitioning from the 70s and 80s style of comedy that perpetuated the classic Muppet Show, going into the 80s and 90s.
Also, Elena apparently wants to know the story behind your name, so I'm guessing that's the cybernetic pink eye story of things?
Yeah, so, oh my word, cybernetic pink eye. So, Cybernetic Pink Eye Productions was essentially the name of my channel from day one. And my channel was originally conceived October 18th, 2007. It was on my 18th birthday that I made the channel, because one of the things I got for my birthday was a small webcam, one of those clip-on plug-in USB webcams that you could just plug into any computer. And I remember being excited about the prospect of making videos with this webcam in Windows Movie Maker on my laptop. And I remember the more and more I looked at this, and it was one of those like bulbous round Logitech webcams that kind of looks like an eyeball. The more I realized, this kind of reminds me of instances in cartoons where if someone gets a black eye or a case of pink eye, their eyeball gets really swollen and puffy and weird looking. And I thought, well, if I like connected it to my face, it kind of looked like a cyborg eye or a cybernetic pink eye. And from there, I remember making various sketches in my notes during my early undergrad classes. And eventually, I came up with the first iteration of the cybernetic pink eye logo. In fact, let me quickly pull up.
And then he went on to coin himself as the neurotic logician.
Oh, that's an entirely different story. But, my word. So that was where, roundabouts, the first iteration of the cybernetic pink eye logo came from. This was actually photoshopped together, based off of some sketches I made in my college notes. Just something that would look like a simplified, cartoony face with just this weird, horrific, oddly realistic looking swollen cyborg eyeball strapped on. So like I think of like the Man in the Iron Mask and other sort of weird macabre stories. So that was the original inspiration behind Cybernetic Pink Eye Productions at the very least.
Logo is so attractive as well, like your channel's name.
Well, you can thank that. You can thank the reason for that. I need to learn how to talk, I swear. You can thank a specific person for that, and that person is Gaelic Knox, who did the render of the current iteration of the Cybernetic Pink Eye Productions logo.
Mm-hmm.
Let me actually pull that up, because it is a step and a half above and beyond the original. Here we go. Just so it's not completely enveloping you. Yeah. A lot more refined.
A lot more reflective of you.
Yes. So, yes, I highly recommend checking out Gaelic Knox. They are an artist, animator, and really just a good friend at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, anyway, let's get back to this old dog attempting even older tricks.
Thank you. Wait, I plead insanity. No sane fish would ever agree to appear in this sketch. Are you sure? Yes, it's beyond all.
I think he's fishing for jokes.
You know?
Magnificent Merlin.
Ta-da!
Oh, Magnificent Merlin. Mr. Pegasus is here for his checkup.
Pegasus, the mythical winged horse of story and song.
What about me?
I'm sorry, son, but I'm making a rule never to put the carp before the horse.
What the heck is that?
You know?
That's how I arrived.
Yes.
Ta-da! Can I help you? Yes, get me to the hospital.
Hospital. That's pretty bad. I like it.
You know? Respect, Kermit. Respect.
And it's the fact that he said that, like, yep, that's pretty bad.
Pretty bad. I like it.
Well, it's not even just like, that's pretty bad. I can't believe that I work with these people.
It's like, yeah, no, that'll do, pig. That'll do.
Jesus.
My word.
Ted Danson's ready on monitor 5.
Oh, good. What's he got planned for us, Vicky?
Well, Mr. Danson and I spoke about it. I said perhaps a dramatic illustration of man's journey into himself.
What did he say?
He said he'd rather do a comedy sketch.
Oh, good. Cue Ted Danson.
Interestingly enough, going on to star in The Good
Were we
Place.
luckier
Yeah.
with Pumpkin just yesterday saying, let's take a cruise?
And now, here we are, lucky us.
Oh my God.
Oh no. No, 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 no.
And now, here we are.
I don't know why, but the semi-realistic, the just too realistic enough Muppet sitting across from Ted Danson is giving me the same sense of warning as Malkovich.
That and also just, like, again, VTubers.
You know, you're not even wrong. This is
Two completely different styles.
this is a typical night at the Weary 101. My word.
Here we are, lucky us, on the only cruise ship that's had any room.
We're so lucky.
Ahoy there, you miserable landlubbers!
Oh, good.
Welcome to the Jolly Roger, flagship of the pirate cruise line. So wash the bilge out of your ears and...
You know, I think we found the scariest aspect of this pirate invasion. A themed restaurant.
My God.
I mean, like, don't make him angry, folks. He might bring us to the Rainforest Cafe.
He's a little gonzo.
Little bit. Bit henpecked, this one.
Jesus.
Arrgh!
I'm sorry. Who?
My name be Scurvy.
Scurvy?
Been called that ever since I caught the dread plague and spent a fortnight spitting up buckets of black blood.
Oh, well, yes, that's
Jesus
a lovely
Christ.
story, but I think
Yeah.
there's been some sort of mistake. Is there anybody else we could speak to?
Arrgh! Pegleg, get your briny bones out here. Hi, I'm Pegleg. I'll be your waiter tonight. Our specials are salt pork and maggoty biscuits. Arrgh!
I don't think so. Not that it isn't tempting. Pumpkin?
I'll just have club soda
Yes, 2 club sodas, please.
Club sodas?
with a twist of lime.
Oh, you son of a
with a
cow.
twist,
I'll
with
give
a
you club
twist of
soda.
lime.
I mean, that is how you avoid scurvy.
I mean, yes. That would actually be a good way to get rid of scurvy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like with the way that it looped for me.
Yeah.
With a twist of lime.
Once again, like, guaranteeing in and of itself the technical difficulties here are at least making sure we're not going to get hit with a copyright strike anytime soon. At least ideally.
Ideally.
Ah, what's this?
Well, you want anything on the pirate cruise? You've got to fight for it. Arrgh, arrgh.
Still. All right, you swill, sweet.
If you want a club soda, you're...
I was going to say, guys, your first mistake here was challenging Ted Danson to a battle to the death.
Yeah. Mistakes have been made.
I'm not sure what you were expecting, but you are severely underqualified for this. You know?
Yeah. Any true gentleman is prepared to fight, clash with pirates for your sake.
Of course.
For your club soda.
You 2 club sodas, please.
Oh, well, certainly, sir. Will that be, charge to your, cabin, sir.
Charge, thank you.
Oh, well, just sign here.
Right, 15% of 3 blue.
Wow. Well, thank you, sir.
Ready?
You know?
Mr. Danson, don't worry. I'll save
Oh,
you.
Lord.
Oh, this. You know?
Especially with the skip of it, no less.
Oh, well,
Like,
that
I'll
explains
come
how
save you.
that explains how the pigs got in space, doesn't it?
Just like, I'll save you, starts to slide into scream and then just disappears off screen.
I feel like this fucking pig, fucking Shinnigan over there, is probably the first example of a himbo most of us saw in media.
Well, no. I'm trying to think of what my earliest himbo would have been. I'm sure there were several.
I can only imagine
But-
so. Because, like, we've had stupid, strong men in media, but not all of them fall under the flag of him. Like, I would argue Gaston is absolutely not a himbo. Because he does
Yeah,
not drink his
absolutely
respect
not.
women juice.
Right. On the other hand, Joey would
Oh, no, yeah, Joey absolutely fits the bill.
from Friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Joey definitely would fit into that. Like, okay, in terms of his respect women juice, sometimes not so much. But I blame that more on the 90s.
Yeah, I was
than
going to
do-
say, it was because the respect women juice is watered down.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was tainted with the 90s.
And harmful Italian stereotypes.
Yeah, that too.
Hey, how
But-
you doing?
Hey, how you doing? I can't do it.
You'll
That's
get there
not how I
someday.
flirt.
Someday you'll be
No,
a real boy.
Wow. Anyway,
Listen,
no, the way
anything's
that I-
possible in the world of VTubing, you know?
The way I flirt is not how you doing. It's hi, how's it going? Actually, that's not the way I flirt. That's how I get into that tone of voice.
I couldn't
But-
help but notice you went for the club soda.
So, do you know what else club soda is useful for?
You sneaking in citrus, or are you just happy to see me?
I'm twisting in a little lime. So anyway,
See, this is the part of the stream we will get in trouble for.
maybe.
Anyway.
We haven't said anything.
True.
Jesus Christ.
You know? It slices
Are you
and
the one they
dices.
call peg leg? Well, then, this is for you. Timber! Here we go, pumpkin. Here's your club soda.
Where's the twist of lime?
Oh, no, I forgot it.
Oh, never mind. I'll get it. Arg!
Okay.
You know? Equal opportunistic.
My pumpkin.
He knows what he likes.
Okay.
Okay, pause.
I absolutely appreciate. Oh my god.
Because the thing is,
Okay.
I feel like that was just him forgetting that the glasses were glued to the tray so it wouldn't spill.
Or he knew it and was intentionally lampshading it.
No, that's entirely fair. I feel like that is very Ted Danson-y.
Yes, very much. To be like, oh, I'm just going to lampshade this.
Yeah. No,
Again,
the prop
he's
glasses,
got-
we've all seen them.
He is absolutely a dry humor sort of delivery comedian.
Yes.
Delivery comedian.
You know, you got there in the end, kiddo. But,
Shut up.
No, absolutely. His dry humor, I feel, inspired an entire generation of snarky motherfuckers.
Well, not him alone.
Not him alone, obviously, but people like him.
Yeah. It contributed to it.
Absolutely. One of our greatest thinkers.
Ted Danson really gets into the spirit of things, doesn't he?
Okay, Chief, the floor is fixed.
All good.
Yeah, I found this piece of wood exactly the right size.
All right, you mangy work rat. Give us back our plank.
Nice effect.
Yeah.
Hey, watch those cutlasses. There are power lines all over this place.
I love how it immediately cut to dark.
I love how the power cut off, yet the TV is still showing footage.
Well, what I even love, okay, for me, it jumped straight to like them all fighting, and then the power out and going, "Arr, that's our bad."
You know? when OBS needs another update. My word.
It's our mistake. Sorry.
Hey, Kermit, everything okay? Yeah, fine. Oh, well, great lighting. Real dramatic. Yeah, thanks.
God. So you can tell they absolutely put the orange and black strips there to hide the fact that they were working with a Mac Classic. Like
This is what computers looked like, guys.
This was my first home computer, technically my family's home computer when I came into the picture, but it was my first home computer personally. This was how I got introduced to gaming.
Do you remember? Do you remember when there was, if there was a computer in your household, it was a family computer?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the fact that not only does pretty much everyone have their own computer, whether it's a laptop or otherwise, but they also have computers that would have far outclassed these computers back in the day in terms of computing power.
Yeah, like this was a luxury. Like,
Yep.
for context, look at the set of like lights and and chips and everything behind Kermit there. Like, even like rising above the frame of what is visible. That is what computers first looked like.
Yep.
That was about the size of a typical tape reel computer. And those were like more on the high end side of things. Like
Fun
this
fact.
Go ahead.
Well, see, I'll say this. The computers that are standing up, like, behind him, those are more like servers.
True, but that's essentially what early computers were.
Right. But fun fact, my dad actually built a computer when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that wouldn't sound impressive by today's standards, but it was 1960.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been 1960 when he built it. Computers were not a household thing at
They really weren't.
all. So he built a functioning computer when he was 9 years old.
Yeah, this was before the rise and popularity of personal computers, with the advent of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and the existential horrors that would follow, intentionally or otherwise.
Capitalism be like.
Capitalism be like.
Let's see the end of the first half. So what comes next?
The second
the
half.
beginning of the second half.
Yep, there you go.
That
Well-
makes sense.
Okay, pause. Here's how you know that this show shaped at least a little bit, like shows like this, like the Jim Henson, this era of programming influenced my personality / sense of humor.
Uh-huh.
To be fair, that was also very much a familial thing.
Oh, yeah.
As well as my brother doing a variation of the SpongeBob SquarePants intro, wishing me a happy birthday. That is, in fact, a thing that happened. And I remember showing that to a handful of people, and people immediately going, "Oh, yeah, now I can tell you're related."
No, it is hereditary.
Unfortunately, it is a genetic disease. Anyway, I'm sorry, but the fact that I keep calling lines in this show is in itself an indication, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
More or less near you, depending on where you live. The sea. Beneath the waves, a new force has arrived. A force so powerful, so dynamic, no fish can stand in its way. Stand in its way. Now.
I'm sorry, I have to pause, but like because of the nature of the skippings, like no force can stand in its way. Stand in its way. I mean, first of all, no, most fish don't stand, but pop off, King. Anyway.
Sea. Beneath the waves, a new force has arrived. A force so powerful, so dynamic, no fish can stand. Dynamic. No. From Neptune Pictures comes the aquatic explosion of fury that is Mario Malaschini's Karate Squid 3.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh!
You know? I really wish it would pause when I tried to pause it.
Oh. Oh, this is...
This,
If there's anyone who deserves to make some kind of commentary on, never mind. Let's just say in the 80s, our idea of, 80s and early 90s, our idea of, not being bigoted was
this.
Being bigoted, but without it being hateful. Just casual racism. What are your thoughts for the banner?
If you're referring to the non-existent banner for my Twitch channel, I'm currently in the works of trying to get something done for that, but as of right now, nothing as such. Anyway, back to,
this unfortunate.
what I feel like we need to recontextualize as a period piece, considering this was made in the late 80s.
This poor, unfortunate soul.
In need. In need.
In pain, in need.
That too. You know, on second thought, maybe I should just mute this part. God. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna... I would say let it speak for itself, but that has proven to be somewhat problematic. me too, Digit. Me fucking too. Oh god, this really does not want to cooperate.
Cause it paused for me. But I saw that it kept going on your stream.
Yeah, no, it's having a time of it. Once again, it's not really a VTuber stream without scuff of one kind or another. Oh no, I think we found another pog face for Digit.
This is not poggers.
Great googly moogly, it's all gone to shit.
I'm not feeling very poggers tonight, chat.
We're dying, Squirtle.
Pull the trigger, Piglet.
Oh, Kermit, the underwater set has sprung a leak.
Quick, find something to plug it up with.
You know, I needed a moment to process that because I understand now that what they were trying to convey is that water was leaking out of the TV screen. But because of the angle of the leak, it just looks like Digits decided to opt out of a trip to the restroom in favor of taking care of the fish.
I mean, it's all going to the same place, the ocean.
I mean, yeah, you're technically not wrong. Christ on a cracker. Let's keep moving.
Oh, Kermit, the underwater set has sprung a leak.
Quick, find something to plug it up with.
There, I've stopped the leak, Kermit.
As the finger moves.
Yeah.
Falls.
You got water in the brain. Water in the brain. Hey, let's go to the Extreme's great underwater number.
Oh boy.
Oh god, these fucking things.
Well, I think this is gonna have to be a muted segment.
Yeah, no, let me just
Hi, Zach.
Hey, Zach. You came just in time for me to put on some royalty-free music. Look at those isopods go. I think those are meant to be lobsters, but either way. Jesus Christ, these fucking things. Oddly enough, the music I'm playing is kind of fitting for this segment.
Oh my god.
Like, this is literal nightmare fuel. Did I ever tell you about the specific segment from Sesame Street that would give me nightmares as a child?
I'm sorry, what?
So I am going to safely assume that you watched at least an episode or two of Sesame Street growing up.
No, I didn't. I didn't hear the question.
Oh, did I ever tell you about the segment of Sesame Streets that gave me nightmares as a child?
You may have, but feel free to regale me.
Do you remember those segments of Sesame Street where they would have a specific breed of dog, doing very human things? Like, they'd be dressed up in clothes and they'd have human arms and human bodies, but the only thing that would be, like, blatantly doggy would be the heads?
No, but... I don't know what you're talking about, but...
So, for whatever reason, like, it just creeped me the hell out as a kid, seeing... Jesus Christ. Those segments. I think it was because it sort of reached that level of, like, uncanny valley with me, where, like, these characters in these bits looked largely human, because they were largely human, except for the... And it wasn't even that they were, like, dog masks, or anything. They were literally just dog heads that were superimposed, I think, through a combination of green screen and costuming, onto the bodies of people. And I think the other part of it was that in every one of those bits, the dogs were looking directly into the camera. And I remember specifically I had a nightmare about that as a child, where I was watching TV and that was literally all that was on. Or something to that effect. No, I remember what it was. I was watching a clip from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood on a TV, and then all of a sudden, a bunch of, like, monstrous hands and tentacles and wings burst through the screen and reached out for me, but then disappeared back into the screen. And then I looked over, and there was a creepy little girl standing with a dog that was the same breed of dog as in those Sesame Street segments. And I remember just not being able to dissociate those dogs from that nightmare. And part of it may have been just the fact that they were like, it was a brown furred dog with very white eyes, and that's just how they naturally look, the breed. And also the fact that they were always looking directly into the camera. I'm not sure if that was any sort of indication of, like, minor scopophobia or anything, but it just always made me distinctly uncomfortable.
I getcha. I can understand that. I had a few of my own, like, media-related nightmares, but
yeah.
You know what my nightmares are usually
Oh,
like.
yes. Mine are very, very tame in comparison to the,
hellscape of my nightmares.
That's
now,
a kind way of putting it, yes.
Your idea of a nightmare. I had a little bit of uncanny valley frighten me with, you know, like a weird girl suddenly showing up in my room. My idea of nightmares are my flesh is peeling and the only way to save it is to glue it back with some kind of gummy black acidic substance.
As you do.
As I do, yeah? You know?
Yeah,
That's where there's just one of those things, like, whenever I start seeing, like, people saying, oh, this is real scary, this is, like, you know, so twisted and gross, and I'm like, I mean, I could see why that was implied, why that was implemented, and it's just like why are you not recoiling from this? And it's like, I've seen that before. Mm-hmm. When?
Let me even just, like, for context, let me just briefly shut that down and let's see. If I can actually find a good example of this. Because I feel like more people remember this than they even realize. It's just a matter of... You'll have to forgive me for this brief change in programming.
Interlude.
Yes.
I mean, if it's horror related, it's not that far off, to be quite honest.
These fucking things. These fucking dogs.
Oh, okay. So you know what's interesting? This is actually part of like an unfiction project that is happening on the YouTube. People used these clips for a scary story.
Yeah?
Like a video
No shit.
series. Yeah. Well, where a similar dog was used, like it was literally these clips and then also being integrated, cut up a little bit so that like the editing was more on the creepy and even more uncanny side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to describe everything that's going on in it because I know you're not exactly a fan of horror. But
Well, it depends
at
on the
one point,
horror, but...
Well, to give an idea, there is a moment where the person holding the camera, I forget if it's holding a camera or whatever it is, there is a moment where it peers into the darkness, whether it's out like a window or into a closet, and one of these dogs pops up, but instead of like, you know, dressed like this, wearing like a flannel shirt, and its eyes are just black holes.
Yeah.
As if they'd been gouged out, but filled with darkness instead of eye.
Very
Like, it wasn't-
creepypasta, yes.
It wasn't gory or anything like that, but what made it work was not just like that the visuals were a little uncanny, but that it held on that image where you listen to it breathing. And like you get that same feeling of like when you encounter something that you're afraid of and you freeze up and you're waiting to see what happens, and the thing that you're scared of just continues staring back at you.
Yeah.
It's very dreamlike. And yes, this kind of visual was literally included in that series.
It's just so unsettling. Like,
It
and
is.
apparently, I looked it up. Apparently, these were like a series of like videos and photos and stuff that are done by a specific artist known as William Wegman, and thus they became known as Wegman dogs.
Yep, that was something that was actually discussed, at least in a person who was reviewing it. Also,
Yeah.
I'm getting an ad.
Yeah, no, fuck Wegman dogs, man. Like, nothing against the original artist, but this shit literally gave me nightmares as a child.
So the ad ended, and it would have come back on, fuck Wegman dogs.
Like, it's just even just down to like the inherent traits of the dog breed itself. And again, not to like delve into like, you know, shaming a dog for looking a certain way, because that's entirely humanity's fault, but just like the fur that's just thick enough to where you basically just see the skin of the dog. So there's already that. And then there's the fact that like its eyes are like a much lighter color than like its fur, and so it almost has this weird ghostly or cryptic look to it.
We've been streaming for almost 2 hours, and we've watched 15 minutes of the show.
I mean, listen. Were there ever any expectations that this would go smoothly?
It's not a matter of smoothly, it's just a matter of us not shutting the fuck up.
I mean, this is us we're talking about.
Not to diminish what you're talking about,
You know?
Well,
Changing the channel there for a sec, but
Please change the channel.
hashtag change the channel.
That's in character for yes, it's literally in character.
Absolutely. Anyway, I think it's time that we got back to business as usual.
Shark.
Yeah, I suppose so. Hey, Lindbergh, is everything fixed?
Absolutely. I connected the water to the sinks and the electricity to the power outlets.
All fine. Thank you.
You know, you're lucky to have a professional like me around. Just think what had happened if I'd mixed them up.
Yeah.
Pardon, Kermit. I was going to dry my hair, but there seems to be something wrong with this hair dryer.
Oh, what's wrong?
You know?
Well, just cue the documentary.
You're a frog!
Will you stop that? Turn it off!
You're
Oh,
a
God.
frog!
Oh God, the PNG submarine. Hey, what do you know? It does look like a fucking VTuber collab, doesn't it?
Let's just keep going.
Also, I have to point this out, Zach. I know this was not in any way, shape, or form your intention, but just the invoking of Kaboom reminded me of the mere existence of Kablam.
God.
I feel like that's going to have to be another stream, by the way. Just,
I don't know that we'd be able to get away with that one nearly as much.
I mean, that's just it. That was Nickelodeon, right?
Yes, it was Nickelodeon. It was also where like the likes of Fairly Odd Parents debuted.
God, you're right. They had like the random cartoon pilots on that show, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
My word. I mean, maybe someday. We'll see. But
Oh yeah, and Chalk Zone was another one.
you're right. There's Chalk Zone. There's that one show I don't think that ever took off, but it was like the little girl whose best friend was a fucking vampire.
Oh, there was also Angela Anaconda.
God, did
Which I
Angela
think-
Anaconda come from Kablam?
I think it did.
Oh my God. See, I have a very sort of distinct, because I remember I used to watch Angela Anaconda, but now I can't help but associate Angela Anaconda with cringe. And the specific reason for that was that when my mom took me to see the Digimon movie in theaters, there was a pre-skit before the movie itself that was Angela Anaconda and her friends going to see the Digimon movie. And it's like that childhood secondhand embarrassment of like your parents knowing about something you like, and then that fear of like, oh, are they going to judge me for liking this in a public space?
I mean, yes, I was right. It did actually start on Kablam.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything comes from somewhere.
Now, the undersea world of Jacques Roach.
We have been aboard our ship, the Boogaloo, for many months. All is well, but I think the crew is feeling a little...
Hey, Captain Jacques.
Yeah, we've been down here for months.
Are you saying that your soul has not been stirred?
We've been down
by
here-
the
we've been down here for
salutation
months.
of the dip? The dip? What history of the dip? It's just cream cheese and instant onion soup.
Yeah.
And has your heart not rejoiced and soared each and every night as we sing the theme song of our sheep?
The sheep have a theme song? I didn't even know we were in this sketch.
Ah, Boogaloo!
You know?
My God.
They were really fucking... Like, we talked about the whole, like... It's not racist or it's not offensive if it isn't made in a hateful context. But this was around the time when they were still really leaning into, like... You can't understand what the fuck French people are ever saying ever. Trope.
Yeah.
My God.
You've been told. That's it. Jump sheep? You cannot jump sheep.
I should say not.
That's why there was a sheep.
Okay.
Exclusively for that joke.
For that joke and the previous joke. Oh my God.
Into the light. Wait a minute. Is that the light? Exactement. Now to defeat the lobster. Feed the lobster. Rats away! Hey, they're firing rats at us. Let's get out of here.
To be fair, if someone were firing rats at me, I'd want to run away too.
And funnily enough, there's actually quite a bit in common between roaches and lobsters. Lobsters are bugs.
Yeah, they're just roaches of the sea. Also, yeah, it's not racist if it's towards the French. We've learned that lesson in a number of different ways, Zach.
Grew up in the French court. Oui, oui, bonjour. Life was a chore, so she set sail.
It's mayonnaise!
I still will never get over that.
It's for,
This man is
do you want to explain the context for that one?
So many years ago, I was actually running a stream for my birthday. It was a big anniversary stream, and I had a whole bunch of guests, people who were patrons, a good chunk of them, people who were in my server. And among those included someone who goes by the name Pinger.
Yes.
They were in the chat while we were playing a game that was like, I mean, it was a kind of like functionally Pictionary. I forget even the name of it.
Scriblio, I believe.
Scriblio, and so we were given prompts, and it was Pictionary. And the one that Pinger got was mayonnaise, and drew a condiment with a French flag on it. And we were like, what, Dijon mustard?
That's
like,
literally
what
all
is
we could
this?
think of.
And the timer ran out. No one guessed it. And Pinger was like, it's mayonnaise! And it's like, you know, when you point it out, yeah, it's obviously French because it is spelled with French spelling. But we assured Pinger at that time that it's because we're so divorced from French roots because we have so many French words in our language that we associate with English more than like French. That it didn't occur to us.
They were so salty.
They were so salty.
Much like French fries. But, it was just how indignant they got. Like, how did you not guess it was mayonnaise? It's like the most French word ever.
And it's like, because we're dumb.
And we're American. Which aren't always mutually exclusive.
No.
Yeah, I believe you may have been there for that, Zach.
You were there for that.
Oh my god. But,
anyway, back to this unfortunate.
This poor unfortunate soul. We're in pain and in need of ibuprofen.
Captain's log. Today I have conquered the lobsters and gotten rid of my verminous crew. I have found renewed peace, alone once more with my ship.
If you lay one hand on me, Buster.
My God.
Yeah.
Another underwater sheep. Underwater sheep and cockroach shows.
You know?
Hey, this floor is soaking wet. I can't work like this. How can we entertain?
What do you
people
mean? You're a frog!
I mean...
You're a frogga!
True. And like, fun fact, Kermit. A handful of decades from now, there will actually be more and more computers with fluid actually integrated into their builds.
Oh yeah, liquid coolers.
Yeah. So, really, digits just ahead of the times.
I am still seeing more and more of where our senses of humor came from.
Yeah. And then for no reason, Ted Danson.
I love that wet floor dance. The show's going well.
You know, I think we all need a supportive, an affirming Ted Danson in our life.
Yes.
It's like,
absolutely.
Hey, I hear you didn't get that job, but you know what? What matters is that you tried your best, and that if nothing else, you can always count on the time knife to be there for you when you need it.
So, suddenly dancing is on the TV screen.
If only. If only we had our own pocket dancing wherever we needed them.
It is, isn't it? Clifford. Hey, Kerb. Say, Ted. You want to join me in this story?
What is it?
Oh, it's a fish story about the ocean. You play the lead.
Oh, yes, that'd be a pleasure.
Oh, well, terrific. How long is this story?
Oh, it lasts about 400 million years.
You know?
Kermit, maybe while I get ready, you should make a new plane reservation for me.
Ladies and gentlemen,
a fish story.
About 400 million years ago, in the Devonian period of the Paleozoic era, or thereabouts, everyone on Earth lived under the sea. It was except for one dissatisfied creature of indeterminate origin. His name was Ted.
Oh, I'm tired of always being wet behind the ears.
So this malcontent swam upwards toward the light until he burst forth into another world.
You're not sure if I care for this TMNT reboot.
Yeah. I just don't have anything to add to this at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like,
Yeah. Funnily enough, this creature we're looking at looks not dissimilar to the random mutant fish we saw in that one underwater scene from the Felix the Cat movie.
Oh god, don't remind me. I'm trying to block out memories.
Go watch your friend Hoochwan Bass's reaction to the Felix the Cat movie.
Oh my god.
I am so happy with that edit, and I am very much looking forward to what we watched together this year. But I digress.
Upwards toward the light until he burst forth into another world. Up ahead, he saw some dry land rising from the... You know the story.
Don't care for this angle.
Why?
I made it. Though I don't suppose everybody's gonna believe it.
A few hundred million years passed. By that time,
I
Ted
prefer
had
the
adapted
version
to his
in
new-
the history of the entire world, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No.
The sun is
Sun is a deadly laser.
Not anymore, there's a blanket.
It's a good fucking video.
We might watch that after this.
Not tonight. Not at the rate we're going.
No, you raise a valid point.
and grown into a strapping homo.
Okay, no. No, you don't understand. Pause, you fucker. Please pause. God damn it.
It paused for me.
So, you have to understand that because of how it skipped, 100 million years passed, and they grew up into a strapping homo. And the clothes are not helping.
I mean, the 80s were full of that.
They really were.
But
fucking
it paused for me, and then I saw that it kept going for you.
Grew up into a strapping homo. Well, I mean, again, with that ascot, what was your first clue?
That is indeed a very nice homo.
A strapping young homo.
Clip that, please.
Again, somewhere, Boomba is feeling a disturbance in the force.
Boomba feels summoned.
Word. Yes.
A strapping homo.
Yep. The grunts and noises coming out of this thing are also not helping.
A few hundred million years passed. By that time, Ted had adapted to his new environment and grown into a strapping homo sapien.
Ah, man.
Oh, well, yes, this is very nice. A little dry, but very nice.
By now, Ted had lungs, he had intelligence, he had mastery.
Could you hold it down just a little bit?
Hold it down? But I'm telling your story, man.
My story?
Yeah. I'm the narrator, and you're the everyman character.
Oh. Well, then, yes. Go for it.
Thank you. And so
He
Ted
plays-
had learned to live on the land. But
He plays white man very well.
He really does.
Oh, well then, carry on.
Yes. Like, go forth. The irony being that when we would eventually see him again, he would be playing a lava squid. So he ended up kind of reverting in this case.
I guess so.
My word.
And he ate from the water, his knees. But still, he was not completely content.
I wish I had the wheel and the telescope and dental floss. Oh, yes.
You know?
This is going to change the world.
And so Ted went into a prolonged period of inventing and building, which proved fruitful. But of course, there were side effects.
You know?
Sir.
His thirst for innovation went on.
I just invented electricity, freeze-dried coffee, wonderful experiments with petroleum derivatives.
Gee, I wonder where this is going.
Gee, I wonder what socio-political commentary we are going to be uncovering today.
I wonder. Well, that explains why Kermit was so pissed off. He wasn't waiting in water. It was the BP spill. Once again, the Muppets always ahead of their time.
Derivatives.
Ted kept doing that for a long, long time. And in truth, there were a lot of other Teds, all doing the same thing. And eventually, all life in the water died. Seas stopped producing oxygen. The earth became uninhabitable.
He's like,
and
"Whomstative?"
that
was... excuse me, sir. I have some questions.
The seas stopped producing oxygen. The earth became uninhabitable. And that was the end.
Hello, excuse me. That was the end?
Yeah.
Well, what kind of an ending is that?
Well, I thought it was the one you wanted.
No, don't be silly. I love the ocean.
What? No.
What? No.
What? Don't be silly.
A fucking commercial involving chicken tenders.
You know?
And if I hadn't eaten, I'm actually fucking hungry.
You know?
Fuck.
What is Ted if not the chicken of the sea?
That's what it came back to! On the stream, the ad ended. What is Ted but the chicken of the sea?
You know? You are what you eat, Ted.
Ocean, you should know that better than anybody. I mean, that's kind of like my home. Hello? Hello?
Hi, Ted. We thought you'd like a call from home.
Guys, it's the fish. Hey, guys, how are you?
Well, believe the narrator for crying out loud.
Guys, come on, level with me. It's not as bad as he says, right?
Face it, Ted. It's worse. We're dying down here.
I know. I mean, you read about it all the time. I mean, it's the oil producers and the chemical companies, and the government won't do anything about it. I mean, guys,
I wonder what socio-political message they're trying to push.
But you know what's interesting, too, is that this is consistent with, like, his real-world beliefs.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this is consistent with his established pattern of behavior, and especially the kind of messaging that we get in The Good Place.
Yeah, and again, like, even the way this is being portrayed, and that sense of, like, oh, yeah, like, we can talk about how much we hate something, but obviously, like, we can't do anything about it. You know, it's out of our hands.
Oh, yeah, I read about that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't like to
terrible.
get political, so I have no take on this new fascist leader of our country.
I mean, it's terrible that that's happening, but, like, you know, that's not my fault.
You know, it's not my business. I don't have any family over there. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Anyway, back to Ted Danson, Ted Dansoning.
You, helpless, to the ocean.
who told you that?
The narrator.
He was speaking metaphorically.
I was not. I was not.
All right. Mistake. You're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have dumped the stuff in the ocean. I'll stop.
I love that it is one of the most white-coded people and with a black-coded character.
Yeah. Very much so.
I wasn't.
I was not. God. We need Clifford back at some point, man. Like, he was one of the better Muppets.
Well, what about the stuff that's already down here?
All right. Geez. Well, then I'll try to clean it up. Okay?
Promise?
Of course. I promise.
He promises. Listen, thanks a lot. We all really appreciate this.
And the sea creatures swam away happy again because Ted, their distant relation, had promised. And under the sea, no one ever breaks a promise to a relative. So maybe they all lived after all. Maybe they even lived happily ever after. It's all up to Ted.
Good night, everybody.
Damn, they really just pulled a series finale of dinosaurs on us.
I was gonna say, this was actually very much around that time.
God damn.
That was literally, kind of literally the ending to Dinosaurs, but that makes sense because they worked on that.
Yeah. For the uninitiated, Dinosaurs was a sitcom produced by the Jim Henson Company about a family of dinosaurs. And the way they decided to end that series was with the logging company that the protagonist worked for essentially causing the Ice Age and the entire planet dying and ending with a newscast from the news reporter dinosaur saying, "Good night. Goodbye."
Do you mind? I don't think that we would necessarily get into trouble with this. Do you mind if we actually show that?
I don't mind in the least. Let me just keep in mind where we left off here in terms of the timestamp.
I see 23:16.
Okay, excellent. So let me just also copy that. And let's see.
I'm just dropping that. Well, let's watch it because I did see it on YouTube. And it is...
let me see if I can... Well, let me even just take that off screen for a sec. Again, you'll have to pardon us for a second.
Figuring out the technology is a full-time job.
It really do.
Do-do-do-dee.
Okay, I think I found it.
Give us a sec, we will showcase the end.
Right, and...
It's also not... Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There it is.
There we are.
Could I have everybody's attention? There's something I have to say. First of all, Stan, I have to apologize to you.
Yeah, sure.
I now realize that building that wax fruit factory on your mating ground was wrong. Oh, sure, wax fruit's important,
the looping is bad.
But so are bunch beetles.
Gee, that's big of you, Earl.
And I guess I owe the rest of you an apology, too. You know, for bringing on the end of the world and civilization and everything. And progress in technology. And had too little respect for nature. But it's so easy to take nature for granted because it's always there. And technology is so bright and shiny and new.
We understand, sweetheart.
Understand what?
Well, little guy, what happened was... Daddy was put in charge of the world, and he didn't take real good care of it. And now it looks like there won't be much of a world left for you or your brother and sister to live in.
Are we gonna move?
Well, no. There's no place to move to. This is the only world we got.
Well, what's gonna happen to us?
Yeah, good question, kid.
Well, I don't exactly know.
But whatever it is, nobody's gonna leave you.
That's right, little guy. We'll all stay together.
Yeah, and hey, I'm sure it'll all work out okay.
Yeah.
After all, dinosaurs have been on this earth for 150 million years. And it's not like we're going to just disappear.
Subtle.
I mean, he's right, but
Yeah.
you'd be bones.
Yeah. Funnily enough, he'd be fossil fuels.
And that's just it. How do you do a television broadcast for the apocalypse?
I mean, this is like, for context, friends, if Family Guy ended on everyone dying of COVID because no one was taking the masking policies seriously.
I mean, I think that this is a powerful enough message on capitalism and the state of the world as it is anyway.
Yeah.
This is still relevant as is.
It really is. Let's get to the quote-unquote good part.
And taking a look at the long-range forecast, continued snow, darkness, and extreme cold. This is Howard Handupme. Good night. Goodbye.
That is so well done, even down to the looking down.
Yeah.
And then, also, I got an ad during that.
Oh, fun. You know?
I don't know if anyone else did.
This story about the apocalypse and the ramifications of our long-term disrespect for nature brought to you by the few, the proud, the Marines.
That's exactly the ad I got.
Of fucking course it was.
But I don't know if other people saw it. If you did or did not, let us know, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's so fucking good. And that's just it. Like, again, how do you do a broadcast of the end of the world? How do you tell people this is the last you're going to hear of me because we will not survive what comes next? Makes me actually think of the final song to Black Friday by Starkid.
Oh, God. I mean, yeah.
Oh,
a little
Zach
bit.
did not see it.
Oh. I'm sorry,
Fuck,
Zach.
man.
Should we go back?
Let's bring it back.
Okay.
It's worth it just for that little final broadcast moment.
God. All right.
It's just if you said, look, I know.
I need to find the link again. One moment. Let's see here.
What if tomorrow comes to break the dawn? Have to look that up again.
So,
oh, you didn't see the ad.
Oh, well, fucking. You know? My word. Everything happens so much.
Kermit, can I borrow this for my
Shut up,
round
Bean.
things party?
Bean, where did you get that?
On the...
Bean, please. Bean, please.
And take the night.
Ah, my word.
What if tomorrow comes
All
to
right.
break the dawn,
Now we are back.
and there's no one.
And I believe that was the end of the Muppet Television segment of the Jim Henson Hour. So, I guess this is where we dip into Lighthouse Island.
I guess so. Yeah. No visuals?
And now let me tell you about a place called Lighthouse Island.
Okay. So this would be a shift in our conversation.
Oh, yes.
Possibly.
Huh. That is a name.
Sneak piece.
It won't surprise you to hear that Lighthouse Island is an island with a lighthouse.
You know? One would hope.
Good world building.
Mm-hmm.
My little pony, my little pony.
You think this stream is like a podcast? I mean, less than you.
That's what.
Less than you'd think, more than you'd hope.
I mean, I don't think we're too far removed from that.
Yeah,
to be quite honest.
And honestly, that's what I like about these types of streams. Like, it is a lot of. I mean, that's why I labeled this as a just chatting stream. So.
Yeah.
Now, if you travel down the Old South Road, which is really the only road, past the farmsteads and the lonely salt marshes, you'll come at last to the village. It's not the sort of place most visitors expect. Yet, it's an ordinary little town.
Yeah, an ordinary little town, people walking their polar bears out on a Saturday morning. As you do.
Craftsmen, drunkards, psalm singers, fishermen.
So we're not going to talk about the polar bear? Or?
Various practitioners of the lost arts. Lighthouse Island is just like the place you live in.
Funnily enough, this reminds me of a place I used to live.
Just a zebra.
Yeah, again, as you do.
As you do.
Is this the island of Dr. fucking Moreau? What's going on? This feels like a Monty Python skit, where it's like, it's trying to play it seriously, but there's just random fucking shit in the background.
Oh, okay. Take care, Zach.
Alright, have a good one, Zach. But, yeah, I almost feel like this is sort of like a practice in, like, attention. Like, because, again, they're playing it very straight with, like, the mysterious music and the very creepy tones. But, again, just random animals popping up in the background.
Well, they are saying, on first look, it may not be what you're expecting, but it's largely like your town. I think that's supposed to be the element. And also, I mean, speaking on behalf of the Logician here, Elena, that's appreciated.
Oh, yeah. Always appreciated to follow up on what it is we do and when we do it. Anyway, back to this entry of intrigue. Again, as you do.
Ah, punks.
Don't you just
the
love
best
pirate
animal
towns?
to come out of.
My name's Zeb Norman. I just stopped by to ask for some directions.
A newcomer. Oh, what a treat. Newcomers get their future read. Here.
That's a good sign.
The fish.
Bird gives no fucks.
The fish.
The cat.
I
Oh, was that
pressed
the
it.
clip?
I pressed it just as he said it. It's not even like a tarot card. It's just like a set of playing cards with a fish on it.
Yeah, it's not a. I mean, it's a different. There are many different kinds of decks, but this is not.
Yeah.
This is not any tarot deck I'm familiar with.
Ah, my word.
Never mind.
So,
Okay.
is this place really called the No Name Tavern?
Not called anything. Doesn't have a name.
The sign says it's called the No Name.
Name isn't no name. If no name was a name, then there'd be a name. But there's no name. Not even a no name.
Wait a fucking second.
What?
Okay, no, so we've been talking about, like, Stephen King vibes from the show. I recognize this fucking actor. He was in Haven. He was one of the old brothers who ran the newspaper fucking company.
Well,
For the uninitiated, Haven was a TV series on the Sci-Fi Channel that was based off of a short story by Stephen King called The Colorado Kid. And it was basically about, a town in Maine called Haven, which was infamous for a lot of paranormal activities. And this man here, the guy with the parrot, I'm relatively certain was one of two old men, brothers, who ran the newspaper in the town of Haven. In fact, let me once again just briefly look this up.
I was even looking it up too. Which guy? The main character guy?
No, the one of the two brothers who ran
Right.
The Herald Haven, as it was called. And he was portrayed by John Dunsworth.
Oh, Dave Teagues.
Oh, Dave Teagues was the actor here?
No, as Dave Teagues.
Yes, as Dave Teagues.
Oh, the guy at the bar.
Yeah, the guy with the parrot.
Okay, yeah.
Is that him?
I mean,
Let's see.
I just looked him up, but yeah, it looks like him.
Let's see.
Oh, he's dead.
Oh, well, I mean, he was already an old man when Haven came out, so so let's see.
He died in 2017, apparently.
Oh, that tracks. Let's see. John Dunsworth. Let me see. Yeah, he played Sam, the bartender, in Lighthouse Island.
I see.
So yeah, that was him.
There you go. Good eye for that.
That's hilarious.
You
Okay.
have some ideas, Elena?
Gosh. But yeah, no, that is actually very, very funny. Go from one Stephen King influenced story to another.
Here.
Zeb Norman.
Thank you. I am thirsty. I just rode my bicycle all the way from Trollene.
Long way to ride on a warm day.
You know?
I'm looking for Clara Buford's shop.
Didn't fucking ask you.
No one goes there.
I love how you can tell that this is the one person who's dubbed over. Also, never mind the pyromancy. Don't worry about it.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Nothing but trouble. I used to live near her.
Oh my god. He called it the fucking trouble. For context, going back to Haven, the paranormal activities in that show, they were called the Troubles.
You know?
Is this actually based on the Colorado Kid?
We'll see.
Ah, my word. Anyway.
Clara.
Clara Buford.
No one goes there. Clara is nothing but trouble. I used to live near her. My inns.
Oh, nothing but trouble.
I'm looking for a wedding present. I'm getting married. It's a very important gift.
Wheelers. You want Wheelers for a wedding present? Other side of the cove.
What about Clara Buford's?
She's across from Wheeler's, but stay away. I spoke mean to her once, and my back was out for half a year.
Oh, bupper.
Yeah, well, thank you for the cider and the fish. Both fish.
I like him.
Oh, yeah.
He's a respectful young man.
He's doing his best. He's not a jackass like this guy.
Shut the fuck! Okay.
You know? Once again.
We have to justify the Jim Henson influence.
Absolutely.
Keep including that polar bear.
Yeah, of course. She gets
Clara
around.
Buford's is over there.
Pardon?
So everyone in this town does magic.
Mm-hmm.
Tourists all love it.
You know. Take your bike out for a ride, dump your clams in the sulfuric acid, just another Tuesday.
Okay.
Who's the lucky
That's
girl?
actually an interesting practical effect, too.
How did you know?
Well, you're certainly not looking at silver necklaces for yourself. I'm Clara Buford. There's a better selection inside. Come this way.
After everything that he's just seen,
Uh-huh.
if I were in his shoes, I'd be like, you know what? This is not the best wedding gift in the world.
You know?
Me being dead is not a good gift.
Yeah, on second thought, I should buy one of those seashells off that nice woman earlier.
Zeg.
Or, better yet, I should go back to that cardfish.
Better yet, I should get that polar bear.
You know? There's some things in this world money can't buy. For everything else, there's black magic.
Jesus Christ.
Now then, you still haven't told me what...
Oh, well, Jesus fucking Christ. I was pausing to comment on the umbrella to say, oh, clearly we know the identity of the person. It's Nanny McPhee. And then I saw the lizard.
The lizard.
The lizard.
The wonderful lizard of Lighthouse Island.
Yes. The wonderful lizard of... Huh? Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, well, you wouldn't know her, ma'am. She lives in Gandy. We're to be married.
I used to live in Gandy. I know everyone there.
Really? Well, then maybe you can tell me something about her. We've never met.
I'm sorry? This is feeling more and more like a period piece reskinned as something taking place in the 80s.
You know? But it's interesting, though. I'm actually intrigued by this.
I mean, yeah, let's see where this goes.
Never met a bride-to-be?
We write letters. See, it's this kind of correspondence club we both joined.
You know?
I mean, it's not uncommon.
I promise to write every few days, telling you about
It's like
my
the
life.
internet.
God, this even goes back to what we were talking about earlier about connectivity with the rest of the human race shaping how we perceive and interpret stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just it. Like, pen pals and, like, the initial connection of pen pals turning into the exchange of love levers. Pull the lever, Kronk.
Love levers.
Love lever! But, like, turning into love letters, it's not exactly a foreign concept. Like, falling in love with someone you've never met. It's just like, these days, that's more akin to, like, meeting someone online and getting to know them and developing feelings for them despite never having met them in person. This is sort of the original equivalent thereof, which might seem archaic by today's standards, but when you compare it with, the modern equivalent of the internet, it makes sense in a weird, albeit, still wary way. And to answer your question, it's something to think about, Elena. Anyway.
To write back, telling tales of the sea.
Oh god, this is very 80s.
Oh, she's a mermaid.
Oh god.
So it went on like that for about a year. And then one day, I asked her to
That's
marry
why he
me.
got the fish card.
She said yes.
Oh, isn't that just the sweetest story?
She arrives tomorrow on the weekly ferry. I'm looking for a present.
I think she is the
Something
weekly
in
ferry.
silver.
I was
She
gonna
loves
say.
silver. She says it reminds her of the sea just before a storm.
Huh. Well, that's actually kind of hilarious then, because they just mentioned... Refresh my memory. Actually, no, I'm thinking of iron. Because I was going to say,
Yeah.
it's not silver that fairies have a weakness to, it's iron specifically, right?
It's iron. Silver is the weakness for werewolves and, depending on the legend, vampires.
Yeah, because, I always forget, because, I conflate the two sometimes, because just, precious metals having that sort of, kryptonite-like effect on the Fae or other inhuman creatures or cryptids and the like. It's always interesting. But again, I think you are absolutely on the right track here. Once again, I have never seen this. So,
nor I.
Yeah, given the comparison as well as, reminds her of, the ocean at dawn. I think you might be onto something with the eventual mermaid reveal here.
Silver. Or a locket?
I don't know. It doesn't seem
Which
right.
is a necklace?
Just a locket.
Or a pin?
A pin. It has to be really special.
Aren't you going to show me her picture?
How did you know I had a picture of her?
A young man in love. Rosalie.
Yes, her name is Rosalie. Then you do know her.
Yes, I should say. Well, I did say I knew folks in Gandy.
Oh, you must tell me about her.
Yes, well, she is a very special girl.
Uh-huh.
But jewelry. Oh, that is not all the right kind of present for a girl like Rosalie.
It isn't?
Oh, no. A girl like that doesn't need any added adornment.
But if not jewelry, then then what?
Shoes.
If not jewelry, then what?
Shows.
Also, are you on Instagram?
Oh, is that what that means?
Yes.
No, I am not on Instagram. In fact, I'm pretty sure the only social media I have at this point is Twitter and Blue Sky. Well, unless you count my Tumblr, but I'm not exactly all that active over there. But
You're active enough. But
I have no pictogram or whatever the fuck it's called. I have no Instagram Pictionary. What do they call that other picture website? I'm so behind at the times.
Oh, Pinterest?
Pinterest, thank you.
Instagram is more than just pictures, though. They do videos and all sorts of stuff.
I'll take your word for it. You are
akin to TikTok, but before TikTok.
It still feels like Vine just died yesterday too. But yeah, not to circle back around to previous subjects, but moving on to once again fairly on the nose shows. Oh my god, shows.
Perfect.
Shoes.
Dancing slippers.
Huh.
She put them on. You'd sweep her up and dance off into the moonlit night. Oh, so romantic.
All right, calm down, Ursula.
But I wouldn't even know what size.
Now, these would do very nicely. Or I do have some powder blue ones somewhere.
No. Here, these are the ones.
Again, clearly
Silver
dubbed over.
slippers. They're perfect.
Not those.
Silver is Rosalie's color.
They're too big.
They're the same size as those.
They're family heirlooms.
I'll pay double.
No.
Triple.
No.
I'll do anything.
You know,
They're family heirlooms, then why are they for sale?
You know, also a bad sign for Rosalie when her husband-to-be won't take no for an answer from
Well,
other
to be
women.
fair, I was going to say, to be fair, he's not taking no for an answer from a woman who is actually being unnecessarily difficult.
I mean...
She's offering, this is all that is up for sale in her store, and he picks something up that he knows is actually supposed to be right, that would fit, it, you know, that the description of shoes would be the best fit for her. And then he picks up a pair of silver shoes, which is, you know, in line with his future wife's interests. And she's like, oh no, those are heirlooms. Bitch, they're on the shelf.
Fair enough. I tend to also kind of default to, like, if a store, if a business owner says, oh, I'm sorry, like, this was my mistake, this is not for sale, I feel like you kind of just have to respect that at that point.
Well, she didn't say that. She said those are, like, and it's very clear she's not telling the truth.
Yeah.
You know,
so, like,
she's saying those are heirlooms.
Yeah, and obviously we both understand, because this is a story, that there is some sort of other machinations at play here. I'm just saying the part of me that unfortunately cannot dissociate real world policies and morals with, you know, what happens in universe with a story. I unfortunately I would find myself I halfway reaching through the screen. All right, dude, calm down. She said no.
I mean,
her shoes, her choice. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Anything.
Not sus at all.
Yeah, anything.
Well, I do have a little task for which I require help.
Uh-huh.
What is it?
I have an errand on Hog Island. But I can never figure out how to make the motors and the boats work. You can take me there.
Also, I'm sorry to hear that you didn't have such a great day, Elena. I'm glad we've been able to brighten it up for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's, you know, a reason to stream, but...
Yeah. Yeah, even if it is just the two of us, you know, waxing philosophical and occasionally scatological on various aspects of retro media, quote unquote. I'm glad that we can at least provide some sort of, if nothing else, background noise to help you settle in for the evening or morning or whatever time it is, wherever you are. Well, that's much appreciated. Thank you, Elena.
No, it's just out in the bay.
Yeah, I suppose I could take you there.
Are you calling it a night, Elena? Well, you know, in that case, I do hope that you have a good evening. Oh, no! Oh, you were talking about what time it is. My apologies. Reading comprehension. I swear I have it. I'll say this: I am in the Pacific Northwest of the United States.
And so am I for now.
But only for now.
A handshake's a promise.
Back to promises.
And that is enough to count, by the way, for forming a contract with someone magically.
Uh-huh. Again, I am not unseeing Ursula the Sea Witch here.
Remember, no more than half throttle. She overheats.
The
If
witch?
they make it to Hog Island, they'll be cold and belly up.
I can't fucking believe we found someone from Haven in this show.
I mean, I can.
we go a little faster, please?
The man said no more than half throttle.
Whose errand is this? Yours or mine?
You know?
Is that Hog Island?
Yes.
Strange looking place.
It's not the place I'm worried about.
It's not that strange looking.
What's happened?
The motor's overheating.
Oh, terrific.
Bitch!
You know? It's almost as if we were warned specifically about this.
He's like, well, it says only half throttle. Well, it's not.
Whose errand is this?
Oh, well, it looks like the engine's overheating. Oh, well, that's just great.
Your face is overheating from the back of my hand. You know,
doesn't make sense.
you're very frail and easy to push out of this boat. You know what? Fair enough. Move along.
You knew all about boats.
Bitch, you live in a maritime region. Oh my god. It literally went yum, 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 yum.
Little bit.
Is that the hog of Island?
It sounded like it was coming from under the boat.
You know?
That. Oh, shit.
As you do. This has the same kind of unintentional campiness as Dark Harvest. Like,
you know?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that same sort of, like, at least for the main character here, who has that very similar delivery, is like, who are you? What's going on?
Are you thinking of Harvester or
That might be one thing of the point and click adventure game.
Yeah, Harvester.
Harvester, that's what it was. Not Dark Harvest. My apologies.
Also,
But,
it's on an ad for me right now.
Oh, fun. But
at least your stream is, but
oh yeah. But I don't know, just like that, as well as the just vaguely threatening delivery of everyone in the little suburb that the story takes place in, and then all of a sudden, like all the teeth and all the death.
well, it seems like you're set on this path, boy. No matter what kind of lies, you always were a kidder, boy.
Meat!
Okay.
Two distinctly different characters from that particular game.
This was in fact a conversation. Very productive.
Is that what we're calling it?
I guess for now.
But
Anyway.
only for now.
Shut up, shut up, shut up! I knew you were going to shut up! Shut up! I don't like you!
My word. Anyway.
I don't like this side of you.
You know? Pick a side, flip that coin over, it's all the same.
Has he gone?
I hope so.
I sure hope it does. This is also not the most flattering screenshot here.
No, it's not.
My word.
Stop. I wonder if she's actually Rosalie.
I was thinking that as well as a possibility.
It's working.
It's working. Don't look so excited.
What was that thing out there?
Well, I can't be sure, but I think it was Fred.
Sea monster named Fred?
I'd better explain, because that's why we've come. You see there's this jewel, a pearl that has the power of transformation.
I hate to break it to you, lady, but jewels and pearls are very different things.
Well, I mean, they're kind of indistinguishable, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It is considered jewelry.
Yeah. It's just like one of them is
It's
well,
not a gemstone, but
yeah. Well, not strictly speaking organic. It is grown by organic means. And while yes, all life on this planet is carbon based, I wouldn't exactly call crystallized carbon like diamond organic.
Well,
either way, we're getting into unnecessary semantics here, which is not uncommon for my streams, but I digress.
You don't know what semantics are.
Listen.
I am! That's how I know!
If I had that pearl, I could close my eyes and whoosh myself into anything that walks or flies or swims, and open my eyes to discover it so.
Transformation, are you sure?
I had that pearl once. I held it here in my hand. But before I could use it, even once, it was stolen. Gone from its hiding place. And old Fred was gone, too.
So Fred turned himself into a sea monster and lives out in the bay.
Fred, the old fool. He turns himself into lots of things, and he lives right here on Hog Island. And that's why we've come. To get the pearl back.
You know? I was expecting a number of things from this premise. A heist was not one of them.
To get that pearl back. What?!
Shit, that pearl!
Like, that's the most incredulous thing that you have heard so far on this.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
Okay.
At night, running around with a guy who could be a tiger or a snake or who knows?
And the Oscar goes too.
What? With a running around on an island
At
with a guy who
night?
could at night? With a guy who could be a lion or a tiger or who knows?
Wait a sec, Doc. Are you telling me that this pearl can turn someone into a lion or a tiger or a sea monster at night?
No, this sucker's electrical.
You wouldn't believe the gigawatts in this fucker, Marty.
What? I don't even know what question I was trying to ask there.
I don't know what statement I was trying to make there. Let's just pretend this never happened. Which, given my checkered history of things retconning themselves, it's easier said than done.
Or, well...
Easier done than said. Either way.
Yeah.
Moving...
I mean, apparently everything is easier done than said for either of us.
Ah, you're not wrong.
Stop, Clara. No deal.
Oh, I see. There are some things you won't do to get the silver slippers for your bride. Oh, well, we'll just melt them down in a fire.
A fire?
Yeah.
What the
It's too bad, though. I so like the image. You
know?
What the fuck, woman?
Just watch her pull the flamethrower out next.
I was gonna say, that could have been useful against Fred, you know.
You know? I do enjoy a good clam bake.
and Rose dancing off into the moonlight, the silver slippers on her feet flashing like captive stars. It's too bad. Oh, well. We're just crushed.
I love how she never opens her jaw.
Yep. Just crush them to bits! I mean, if they are in fact made of silver, they're probably not all that difficult to squish.
Honestly,
silver being a soft, malleable metal.
Yep.
Wait. Don't.
No, wait.
I'm sorry. It's given. Wait. Don't. My word. Again, I feel like the technical difficulties with our method of watching this together is actually part of the charm of this whole experience.
I agree.
It's too bad. Oh, well. We'll just crush them to bits.
No, wait. Don't harm the slippers.
This guy's acting.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, this guy's, words that he says in certain order.
This is a guy who had like 6 degrees of separation from Jim Henson and his like relatives managed to secure a deal for this bit.
There's a good lad.
So where do we find this pearl?
That's not a mood.
I thought that was screaming for a second.
Well, it kind of is.
I mean, yeah, just not in the traditional sense. I'm just glad that they didn't use the stock red-tailed hawk scream. Like, it's constantly overused for any bird of prey in media. Okay, that was a cool shot.
Okay, yeah.
You know?
Interesting.
You know?
There's an old hermit hut ahead. Fred might live there.
You mean you don't even know?
No one comes to Hog Island, not since Fred came.
His Fred's a
Is
real
it
joy.
Hawk
I don't
Island?
know what's come.
Because it sounds like they were it sounds like they've been saying hog.
I've been hearing hog
Island?
as well.
So it might be Hawk Island?
It's difficult to say, but yeah, I too have been hearing hog this entire time. But then again, everyone's been speaking with a nondescript dialect, so...
And she's not opening her jaw, like, ever while she's talking.
She
so.
really isn't.
Hog Island.
Yeah, Hog Island.
Over. Used to be a cranky sort, but nice enough. But now, when he turns into a beast, he eats sheep. When he goes swimming, he sinks boats.
Oh, don't mention sheep. You'll bring back the French cockroach.
Oh my, when he flies.
Again, as you do.
I was gonna say, that looks like a talon.
A little bit.
He flies when he's angry.
Yeah, so I've noticed.
Come on. What's just ahead?
Come on.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, run in here. You'll be safe from the murderous giant bird and the murderous giant cave.
Fred lives here, all right. We must find the pearl.
I'm glad you invited yourself in.
The pearl belongs to whoever touches it last. Find the pearl and that...
You know.
The thing out there will vanish.
Oh, God.
It's a biggin.
It do, in fact, be a biggin. It's a fairly high-pitched screech for such a large bird. I mean, granted, I understand birds of prey generally have fairly high-pitched cries, but, proportionally speaking. That'll do it. Literally still going... This... There's a lot to like about this short. There's just that nice little fringe of camp that makes it something you'd probably find at some point on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Look out for the monster. I'll go and search.
How convenient.
What a clutter. He never could keep anything tidy.
You're certainly tidying it up for him.
Still wearing this? Socks and fishing tackle. man. How can you keep food and shoes on the same drawer? I mean, it's revolting. Oh.
Well, you gotta aid your cheese somehow, lady.
He's a hermit. He wasn't expecting guests.
Once again, the voice. Don't touch me, I angry.
As he hits it.
Yeah, keep my sock cheese to I don't get you. I can't even make a fucking joke. This is so fucking.
I suck cheese.
That's even worse than I intended for it to be. Now that I think about it,
cheese.
I don't want to hear about the hermit's sock cheese. I really don't. Anyway. That'll show him. You know, lady, the pearl you mentioned can bless whoever possesses it with the ability to transform. Might just be in the possession of the person constantly transforming. Just hazarding a guess here.
She did mention that the power belongs to the last person who touched it.
Did she?
So it could be a case of you touch it, thus you own the power that belongs to it.
Fair enough. I guess I overlooked that particular detail. My apologies.
Yeah, it was kind of casually brought up.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh.
You know?
As you do. Well.
Last person who touched it.
That was actually a really good shot.
Yeah.
Give it back, it's mine.
Clara, I might have known you'd come looking for my pearl.
This isn't an actor. This is just some guy who wandered on set.
I was gonna say, this is...
No, I'm sorry. I was trying to find the restroom. Can you show me where my pearl is? Sir, you're looking for the wrong kind of pearls. This is not that part of... This is not this type of establishment.
And you stole it from me.
Dream another one, Clara. Oh, jeez, my hand's broke.
Does this pearl really have the power of transformation?
You're asking him that?
God almighty, I did my sea monster, I did my flying beast, I did my tentacle. How much do you need?
Now give it back, it's mine.
Oh, you stole it from my daddy's stuff after he died.
I said I could have it.
Well, I didn't know then how you could turn into stuff with it, did I? Now that pearl is mine.
It's mine.
I could be mistaken, but I'm relatively certain that Fred here, if that is in fact his name, if I'm remembering correctly, is one of the voice actors behind the Muppets. He's sounding more and more familiar.
I was going to say, I think that's probably the case, given that this is a Jim Henson thing.
Yeah, I think specifically he is one of the Muppet Band members from, oh god, Electric Mayhem? Is that it? Yeah, I think he's the guy with the big red nose in Electric Mayhem.
I'll have to take your word for it.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's mine.
The slippers are mine. A handshake's a promise.
Yeah. Now, while you're being... I mean, granted, you did just get assaulted by a squid, a bird, and a sea monster, so I can understand you being kind of pissy, my guy. Mm-hmm. I don't think this is the person you want to be particularly pissy with right now.
I don't know.
Yeah. A handshake is a promise.
Just pulls a gun on her.
Now we have what we came for.
I don't.
Rosalie.
Oh, what are you gonna do with that pearl, Clara?
You'll know soon enough, Fred. Oh. You need to look after that hand. I suppose we should give you a ride.
I wouldn't ride with you to the back door of hell. You tell Carl Sims to come and get me.
He should have swear.
That was actually a cool-ass fucking swear, though.
It really was.
I wouldn't ride with you to the back door of hell.
I mean, good on you, Fred. I gotta remember that one.
Carl hates your guts.
Oh,
that's a damn lie.
You know?
Okay.
I feel like we shouldn't be here for this discussion.
Right?
God, this reminds me of the San Juan Islands. I took a trip there ages ago.
Rosalie is here. Goodbye, Clara Buford.
I'm coming along. I wouldn't miss seeing the lovers meet.
Of course.
Uh-huh. And again, just the random Faunus VTuber and the polar bear.
There she is. There's the bride.
And she knows that the shoes are useless.
Rosalie.
Mr. Zeb Norman. How good to see you.
Well, there's your bride. A very special girl, Mr. Norman.
Yeah.
Held it.
Well, aren't you going to give her the present you worked so hard to get?
Then you got the slippers.
I did.
What?
Oh, she knew.
How'd you know about the slippers?
I asked Zeb to fetch them from your shop. He thought it was an odd request for a mermaid.
You knew that?
Huh. Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
He played her. Because here's the thing. She was resistant, very reluctant to giving him the slippers, and she was hoping for...
That explains the bad acting.
That does explain the bad acting.
I mean, it could just be bad acting still, but like, at least an in-universe explanation for the bad acting.
But that's actually a nice twist. He knew the entire time that she was a mermaid.
Yeah, no,
Silver
I actually
slippers,
appreciate that.
Silver slippers are also very common, sort of like
True.
MacGuffin.
I mean, that's literally what the slippers in the original version of The Wizard of Oz were. They weren't ruby slippers, they were silver.
And we also see that in Wicked.
Yeah.
They bring that back. But yeah, it depends on the legend of the mermaids. Sometimes it's they gain the power from some other external means. But sometimes it involves like getting them the right shoes, or the shoes allow them to maintain their legs.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Ah, man. That actually was a pleasant surprise of a twist.
And that the fact that they were being honest with each other the entire time.
This is the healthiest relationship I've seen on TV in a long time.
Yeah, and that's why he was so insistent on the silver slippers.
Yeah. Oh, man.
He went in to look for them and knew that Clara was going to try and pull some shit.
What an unexpected happy ending.
Well, we'll see. It's not over yet.
Yeah, true.
We're close, but...
I remember when you lived in Gandy, Clara Buford. The mermaids knew about your silver slippers. These slippers are legendary.
Oh, they're family heirlooms. Why would a mermaid care about my slippers?
Oh, I don't. I only care about the power they may harbor.
Our slippers have power.
Oh, we hope so. At least the legend says they do. These slippers are the only chance that Zeb and I have for happiness.
It's a more desperate chance than you realize. To get them, I had to give her a pearl of transformation.
Yes. I have the pearl. It's useful for dealing with pranksters like you. With this pearl, I can close my eyes and wish myself into the worst of your nightmares.
What?
You know?
Oh.
Oh. I wouldn't reach in there, lady.
Ah, but the last one to touch it.
Zeb, the slippers.
And he's going to transform into them.
Oh.
Into a mermaid.
Okay, that's a
Merman.
nice twist on that. I see.
I like that.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah. And they were in Lesbians. Okay.
I don't believe it.
Wish us joy, Clara. As deep as the sea.
Fair enough. I didn't think you were chill like that.
So indeed, his future was fish. Which is why he thanked the woman for the card.
Yeah?
Thank you for the fish. For both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look there.
Sea monster just comes out.
Bites him on the head and shakes it.
Okay, no. You heard that too, right?
Heard what?
That was the fucking intro to Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah. Well,
listen.
It's a scale.
Yeah, I know. It's just like...
In fact, it's an arpeggio.
The Jim Henson Hour will return after these messages.
It's a fairly simple arpeggio, as a matter of fact.
It is. It's just like... Usually... And it isn't even as long as the full arpeggio of, like, Final Fantasy, but it reminded me so much of it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Kermit, why are you looking at me like that?
See, I'm not getting that on my screen. It's completely black.
It's like, if you check out the stream...
Yeah, I can see it. I can see the eyes, especially with the faded.
Yeah.
Like as if he's standing even more in the shadow than usual.
This is when Kermit isn't mad, just disappointed at your search history.
I've seen what you do in the dark.
We've seen a lot of sea creatures tonight.
Shut the fuck up, your timing. It's like,
Can you...
I've seen what you do in the dark. We've seen a lot of sea creatures tonight.
Hang on. I'm gonna clip that.
Oh my fucking god.
Give me a sec to clip it.
Again, take your time.
Why do I do this?
Because you
Hang
can.
on. Bring it back
Because you
just a
can
little
and because you
more.
must. Ah, my word. God.
Ending with you going, shut the fuck up, your timing.
Excellent. All right, bring us home, Jim.
Whale. Or a whale of a puppet, depending on how you look at it. That's all for now. We'll see you next week.
All right, that was a good episode.
Yeah, hang on a sec.
Yeah?
Got it. Perfect.
Excellent.
Okay.
I'm glad that we've picked up this particular series.
Yeah.
Like, it's an interesting combination of, like, snark and distinctly 80s/90s comedy stylings and sensibilities, but also really intriguing short films. Like, it's like showcasing the breadth of, you know, effects that you can make use of with puppetry. As quote-unquote
Absolutely.
basic by today's standards as they are.
Oh. So is this a general browser share, like exclusively for the likes of YouTube, or can you do like any video clip?
Well, I mean, I have different methods of doing like watching YouTube and also, or you mean like the system? Well, the system I believe is specifically for YouTube, but
Right. No, that's fair. I have a clip to show you at one point.
okay, fair
However,
enough.
we've been going for 3 hours, 15 minutes.
That's true. I'd be tempted to try and throw on another shorter thing, but given the time.
Given the time, and I mean, I have to do more before I go to bed tonight, and there's a big thing coming on tomorrow, and you've got some big things coming up tomorrow.
Oh yes, God, it's gonna be chaotic.
It is. But this has been fun.
Thank
you for having me on for this. We definitely went on tangents that were like absolutely not related to the source material at all.
Well, once again, have you met us?
Have I met us?
At least this iteration of us. Again, I've lost control of my life and any and all interpretations thereof.
Oh, we've known that for a while. A few
We've
years,
been new, as the children say.
But this is fun. And regardless of whether or not we return to this next week or pick out something new or whatever, what have you, it was nice meeting you.
Likewise. And again, I do want to try and make more time for streaming during the week as a whole. I want to add at least one more day of streaming during each week. Whether or not I'm able to smoothly accomplish that is another matter entirely. But it is something I do in fact aspire to. So hopefully I'll be able to work out a solution to that sooner than later. But yes, in the interim, thank all of you for showing up when you did, enjoying our insane ramblings. I hope to see you tomorrow, and if not then next week. And until next time, always remember to fucking think. Take care, everyone.